I thought for the longest time this morning that your podcast was called Just a Sip.
What?
Yeah, no, that's not it at all.
Why did you think that?
Because I'm not sure why I thought it, but I just did. And I was Googling Just a Sip, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey's sipping on just something, maybe, possibly, today.
That's such a stupid name. Why would you name it Just a Sip?
So, do you want to know where the name came from?
Just a taste?
Yeah. It's not a cool story at all.
Well, make a cool story.
Yeah. So, literally, we were at Bubble Tea with Codes and Mads and Anna, and I was being stupid and just, like, acting like myself.
Yep.
And we were planning a trip to Nashville, Tennessee, and I was just like, this is just a taste of what I'm going to be like. And I was like, that's hilarious. But even transitioning into where I actually want to take this channel type deal, I guess, is I want to get a, like, top, where I want this to be at, like, the highest level is interview a bunch of different people from different walks of life. And then you're just getting, like, a little taste of what that person's life is. So it kind of worked out.
Wow, that's actually...
Big brain plays, dude.
Yeah, that was actually really good.
I was thinking about it the whole time.
Oh, wow, you're so 3D chess. Chess?
Oh, hey. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, dude. So that's where the name came from. Pretty wild. What do you think about that, huh?
It's actually better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I thought you'd be like, oh, I was just sitting there and it came to my face and, yes.
No. You need to speak up. Your mic's not picking you up. You're being bashful.
Someday I am being bashful.
You're a little nervous.
I'm a
Got
little
the
nervous.
jitters.
Well, got this thing in my face.
Yeah, move your chair closer. You're fine. You're fine. We don't need to hear you talk. All right, but you ready to rock and roll?
There's a dog behind me. Okay, hang on.
Get focused up. Do some Wim Hof breathing.
Some what?
Wim Hof? It's like the Iceman dude.
Yeah. I've never done it though.
Me neither. It sounds cool. Let's look up some Wim Hof. Let's start this off with just doing some nice breathing exercises. I think his biggest thing was like box breathing, which you breathe in a square, which isn't actually. So it's like you take one deep breath in, hold it, and then for like 10 seconds or something, release it, hold on the release, deep breath in.
Hold on the release.
So you go.
Breathe out slowly.
Yeah, so you like.
Oh, breathe out and then hold on the out.
And then do an inhale, hold.
Are you supposed to be in cold water?
I don't know.
It means raining outside.
Open up the doors. Let's get this started. All right, do you need another drink before we officially start?
No, but this is where you tell me that we started already. And,
yeah, but we didn't do our intro.
do I need... Can I have this?
Yeah.
Back here?
Just make sure the logo's showing.
Sponsored. Please sponsor Jeff Rowe.
Yeah.
Only the best energy drinks for just
a taste.
a taste.
It applies in so many ways. It's actually a very happy accident.
All right. Okay. I was just going to observe today and make smart comments from the sidelines.
But you don't get where you want to be in life just sitting on the sidelines.
Unless you're like a ref or a coach.
Refs don't sit. They're freaking running up and down the field.
What if you're a coach?
Well, generally they're not sitting. They're standing, yelling at the players. So, take your dyslexic butt away, dude, you moron. You're almost making me nervous.
I'm sorry.
I'm scared. I don't feel safe.
There's so much.
Boy, did it just get so hot in here.
I was listening to Eminem on the way over this buffet.
You ate an M&M?
I was listening to Eminem.
Oh, dude. What were you listening to? What song?
Lose Yourself.
Oh, it's so good.
That's my favorite song. Okay, listen.
Wow, okay. Favorite song by Reuben Is, Lose Yourself. All right.
Okay. Right now, through the season of my life right now, like, that is one of my favorite songs. It should be.
Why?
It should be a Christian song.
But it's not.
But I think God can use a lot of different people to promote His messages, and I think that
I'm so excited for where this is going. Continue. How will Eminem bring glory to the Lord?
I think just because you don't know God, doesn't mean you can't see Him. And I think the truths of God are self-evident, and the more you tap into that, the more you can ring into eternity. And I feel like eternity speaks in your soul, and so when people speak the true truth, they feel that life, and then other people hear it as well. And so I think Eminem has spoken a lot in that song, spoken a lot of true truths in that song, and I think that really resonates with people. So the message of this song...
Put your mic, like, hardly picking you up. Just pull your chair closer. Okay, while Reuben does that, we had a good segment, so we're just going to keep rolling with it. Welcome back, everybody. This is Just a Taste, and today we have Mr. Reuben Cater, which is a longtime friend of mine, and I'm super stoked to have him on the podcast because he's got a super interesting life. And now we're going to get back into his conversation, but I just want to do that intro. Okay, Eminem, ringing in eternity.
So I think people pick up the true truths of God and they speak it, and then that is what resonates with people. And so you don't have to be a Christian to seek that out, to see it. And so Eminem, in this song that has a lot of cursing and swearing and profanity, he hits on a point where that you get one life, you get one shot,
one opportunity,
seize
everything you ever wanted.
And how many times I've heard many times in the Christian circle, well, if God wanted you to do that, then He'll bring it back around again to you.
Yeah.
And okay, on some level that may be true. On other levels, I think you only get one chance to do certain things, and you're being prepared and you're being prepped for this opportunity, and God might not force you into it. If it's just presented to you, it can slip by you. You can get by.
You can just let it slip.
Just let it slip, man. Like, it's right in the song, it just hits me so hard. It's like we get one shot at life. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not, do your workouts? Why not pursue it to the fullest? Why not live your best? Like, why not, do whatever you feel like you're meant to do?
Yeah. It's
really uplifting, encouraging, and, really gets me going. It's like, okay, today I'm going to do my best. I may not succeed at my best, but that's just another step in doing what could be my best. There was a study done on, I think it was the men's British bicycle team.
Go on.
And it was, we're going to try to do 1% better every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You heard of this?
Yeah.
And they were like doing the worst in their league, and this new trainer came in, 1% better every single day, and then it could be just changing the gloves on their bicycles, for their hands, for their bicycles, every single day, just something small. And they eventually ended up winning their brackets and excelling, because after 3 years, they won everything.
So
it was awesome.
Two trains of thought. I want to address this one first. That's how I'm approaching the podcast. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the British bicycling team or the British baking show. I forget who told me this. It was probably Alex Hermosi. Did you ever listen to any of his stuff?
No.
Super good dude. His biggest thing is he wish a Musk or a Bill Gates or someone like that would have documented their journey from zero to billions. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they didn't, so I'm gonna. And his goal is he's at 100 million right now.
Oh, wow.
Net worth, hundreds of millions. But he's not at $1 billion. And he's like, I'm just going to track this. And his biggest thing, he's like, make whatever you're doing, just make it better than the last time you did it. So like with this, now I got a light, and it's like trying to figure that out. And even just like listening back to the podcast, like, okay, I said like way too much, so trying to cut that out and just making it each video just a little bit better. So same concept, different person who said it though. But going back to the Eminem thing, this is where my mind went as well. Is there anything in your life that you think that you had that one shot and you did miss it, that you're not going to get back?
Oh, wow.
Deep question.
That's a tough one, because sometimes I think you have opportunity and you miss it, and it's like, I'm just going to bury that because I don't want to deal with the pain.
Put your mic closer to your mouth. Dude, I'm not picking anything up. There you go. That sorry you said, that was perfect.
Perfect? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of times at least I tend to bury the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And just skip across it. So missed opportunities that I've cognitively realized. Oh.
Like for me, even just like witnessing to someone or doing something like that is like, I'm not getting that back. Like I should have talked to, like, I know I should have talked to this person, or like, there's been events like that in my mind where I can replay so vividly because it's like, I know I was supposed to do that. And like, I was too much of a freaking chicken and I didn't do anything about it.
It's like a realization of your ineptitude. Well, yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, now that I think of it, I miss opportunities all the time. And it's I don't do any of that.
Yeah, how many times do I feel like a failure? Well, a lot. Yeah.
But there's no like big life ones where it's like, oh yeah, that was a big one.
Well, I feel like you just roll with life and do the best you can, and that's what personally, I can't think of any. The biggest thing I can think of is I wanted to be a cowboy
when I was 7.
When I was 17.
Go on.
I wanted to be a cowboy, and my dad was like, "No, you're gonna go to college." And I was like, "But I want to be a cowboy. I don't want to go out on a dude ranch."
Should have been a cowboy.
Yes, right.
Should have learned to rope and ride.
Who says you can't sing?
Yeah,
you said yes. Just on your.
Well, dude, I just figured out tangent. To do auto-tune on this, and I need to figure out how to actually work that into an episode because I think that'd be so funny. Continue.
You said on the last podcast you couldn't sing, and
I can't sing. I can sing when I'm joking, but if I'm like legitimately serious about
nervous,
singing, yeah,
you get nervous, you get scared.
Yeah,
Jeffrey gets scared.
Yeah, not often. But when my shirt's off, I get a little insecure. You know how it goes.
I don't take my shirt off.
Yeah, just take your shirt off. Show the people your chest.
I don't want to make other people insecure.
Yeah, that's true. They would be towering in fear.
Oh, my goodness.
I do a lot of stuff with my hands, though. I notice that when I watch my videos. I'm like...
Maybe that's what I could do. My hands are like sweating.
Oh, yeah. This room is actually very hot, though.
So much pressure.
Yeah, it is. Under pressure. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Random... Okay, for everyone listening, this episode's going to be wild because... I have ADHD, and Reuben has some sort of undiagnosed something. So it's going to be kind of all over the place.
I used to be dyslexic.
Yes. Going back to your Marshall Mathers thing, which is Eminem. Did you know that was his real name, Marshall Mathers?
No.
What?
It's Eminem.
No. So Marshall Mathers, MM.
Oh.
But he couldn't use the letters M&M because of M&M
candy.
So he spelled out MNN. And that's
something that he would
fun
do.
fact for you guys if you didn't know that. You said with him something about ringing in eternity or something. But what I want to get at with that is, do you think God uses ungodly people and like ungodly events to still like show his glory, show his, because his, not divineness, I don't know what the word is. I have a lot of instances in my life where like I was doing something and it wasn't like church related. I was probably watching like some garbage movie. And in that moment, I thought that, like, whatever in that movie resonated with me, and I thought it was from the Lord.
Right.
And I know even when we talked about this a long time ago. Okay, we're gonna go there. I was watching Meet the Robinsons, which is a kids show or a kids movie, great movie. And in that movie, it's like the time travel, and the kid goes to the future, or no, to the past or something. Meets his family because he's an orphan. Correct? Okay. Right? Okay. Anywho, in that, I felt like the Lord spoke to me, and I literally bawled my eyes out during that movie.
Yep.
For no, like, if you take God out of it, there was no reason I should have been crying.
Yep.
It's a flipping kids movie.
Yep.
But in that, I felt like he used that movie incredibly to, like, really impact my life.
Yeah.
And then I know when I talked to you about that, you said the Lord meets you where you're at. Mm-hmm. And, like, I would just loved movies at that point, and, like, so that's what he used.
Yeah.
So I kind of answered the question for you, which sucks, but I still want to hear your thing about it.
Yeah, I think looking at our modern situations, it's really hard. But if you look at the biblical context, that answers the question already, because God used a lot of different situations for the Israelites that kind of sucked.
Yeah. They were horrible.
They were pretty terrible to further his will for them.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought in, different tribes, different people. He tested them with different trials and tribulations. And nothing's changed. Like, we still have the same Father and who loves us and cares for us. But it's kind of hard to see that when it's actually happening to you.
Yeah.
I think that, God meets you where you're at, and I think there's a lot of hope in that, because you don't have to be the ideal, perfect person to meet God, and so that's my answer.
That's my soapbox.
that's my answer.
Yeah. I love it. Right on. That's sweet. Yeah, dude. There was this one. I feel like not that we talk about it a lot. We just talked about it a lot last episode with Matt that came on. This is something which I haven't told a lot of people, which is crazy. Speaking of something outside of, like, quote unquote God's wheelhouse, like something very sinful that I feel like he used immensely to impact me, and it was the movie Oppenheimer. Did you ever watch that movie?
Yeah, I just recently watched it.
Phenomenal movie. Freaking awesome. But
a lot of boobies.
In that, a lot of boobs. A lot of freaking boobs. Which people would say, it's like an R-rated movie. I didn't know there was nudity going into it, but boy, did I find out quickly.
Yeah.
There was two big things that were just like, hello. And so if you would tell anyone from the church or something that you were going to see this movie, and they would know generally the gist of it, I feel like they would be like, don't go see that. That's a horrible movie.
I'd shoot a warning shot. But
yeah. Maybe not. But in that movie, and like even like if you listen to last episode, we talked about porn and that whole thing. And I don't really need to get back into that whole thing. But there's a nude scene, which is very graphic, which I didn't. Yeah. Disclaimer, I didn't know. I didn't know going into it. But during that scene, he like cheats on his wife.
Yep.
The dude cheats on his wife with some other lady. And literally, like, instantly when that happened, I just felt the Lord say, if you continue with porn, that will be you.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy smoke. Because I was loving the movie up until that point. It's like, dude, this is a great movie. It's so well produced. And then I got nailed. And I was like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. Yep.
So there is an instance of, like, where I feel like God definitely used something that's, like, not holy at all.
Right.
And, like, not uplifting to him at all.
Right.
Like, it's a nude sex scene, which is wild. But, yeah, just nailed me right in the theater. And I was like, frick. Mm-hmm. And then, then I probably didn't freaking listen to it.
Yeah, but how many times have you heard over the pulpit or from any good source, hey, don't do this, this is bad. You're like, Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
But it's fun.
but then you see, I think the biblical term is like objects for destruction.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
that's kind of what's happening.
For sure.
You see like these terrible things, and it's like, oh, like this is where it leads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I get it now. I should try harder.
I should not be a total waste of space and actually be a good person.
Yeah.
It's hard to be a good person.
Yeah.
It really is.
I wish it was easier.
Yeah, but do we really? So
Yes.
there's this. Yeah, true. There's this guy, which I would love to have him on the podcast at some point. His name's Greg Martin. He was a former employee of ours.
Yeah.
The dude has some of the most obscure thinking of anyone I've ever met. And like, and I told this to his face, so I'm okay saying it on this podcast. I said, Greg, you are either absolutely insane or you're an absolute genius. And I literally don't know what camp you fall in. And like, I think only time will tell. Like if he succeeds,
Could be both.
then he's an absolute genius.
I mean,
like I do think, now we're getting onto a tangent, but like the balance between genius and insane is actually very close.
you probably flip back and forth
Yes.
sometimes.
But anyways, what he told me, he said, there are so many people in this culture in Lancaster County that do just enough to be considered good. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, well, maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, I think they're pretty good people. And then I actually started like looking, like zoom out a little. Mm-hmm. And you're like, everyone is doing just enough to just be considered good. And when I say everyone, obviously not everyone, but like
I have to think about it.
I looked at myself and I was like, I'm doing just enough to be considered good.
Right.
And like his biggest thing was like, if you're going to do something, kind of like what you said earlier, if you're going to do something, do it right.
Right.
Like, and don't let yourself have the excuse of like, oh, everyone else is just kind of doing this.
Right.
And that piece of advice has actually struck me like crazy. And I'm like, continue to apply that to my life. Even like with this, like the podcast, it's so easy to be like, oh, I don't really like, I could do 17 hours of editing, but maybe I'll just upload it and not do any editing.
This is the best you're gonna get.
Yeah, like, and there's so many instances in my life where I like, now that I have that knowledge, I'll like look on things I've done and it's like, oh yeah, I just did just enough to be considered good.
Right.
And like, if you are any bit good at like talking to people or kind of being manipulative, you can go very far and people will think you're a phenomenal person with just being okay.
EQ over IQ, man.
Yes. Which it's funny you say EQ. My sister told me like maybe a couple months ago that I have a very high EQ.
Yeah.
My IQ down in the gutter. But apparently my EQ, she thinks I have a pretty high EQ. But I think I'm just like manipulative.
You had to survive George growing up.
Yeah. Just giving me wedgies and ripping my underwear, giving me nipple twisters. It's horrible.
Anything else you want to talk about, George?
Yeah, let's just start throwing people under the bus.
The next 15 minutes is going to be bashing George.
It's so hot. But in that, even I just realized this last week in our dating, me and my wife's dating relationship when we were dating, I looked from the outside like a baller of a boyfriend. Now I'm realizing, I was just manipulative. Like, there was certain things, and it wasn't manipulative for, like, malicious intent, but it's like, no, I was just schmoozing and, like, kind of putting the wool over everyone's eyes. Like, for example, there was a lot of things, and this sounds graphic, but any guy will understand exactly what I'm saying. I used to be hecka romantic in our dating relationship. I was so, like... And now I probably went to the one extreme for sure, but like, dude, I could schmooze. Yeah. And like,
you were
I was
artistic and
and I was in touch enough with like my feelings that I could like, they're like, oh, like all these guys are like, they just don't talk. And I was like, hey, what's up, babe? like I could schmooze. That's for sure. And I thought that I was like this incredible person that was just like elevated beyond anyone else. And then I just realized like, oh, I just want to get in my girlfriend's pants. and that is literally why I'm doing all of this. Like when you strip it down to its most basic form. Now, obviously there was good.
So what you're saying is girls wait till marriage and then, you'll get a guy.
When you're dating, you will have this version of a polished man. Then when you get married, you get the real raw dose of what a man actually is. And like obviously there was still like good times in that, and I did have like I make it sound like I'm a horrible person, which I don't think I 100% am. I am sinful for sure, but it's like every guy I think is just like that. Like it's like you're hopped up on hormones, and it's just like, oh yeah, I'm romantic. It's like, no, you're not. Like,
I'm a stud.
Yeah, it's like you kind of just you want her.
Yeah,
and it's like, and I think there's like, it's human emotion, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing because I think it's like given from the Lord.
Why would you say you're manipulative back then? Because I don't. Okay, maybe a little bit, but I think also, I agree with your sister. I think you have high EQ, but I think also people misread manipulative. I can't pronounce that.
Manipulative.
I also had a speech problem. My fifth grade teacher said it was my sister's fault. So Becky Christie,
suck it.
This is on you.
Freaking hate you guys
today, Junior. High EQ. I think you just can understand what people want. And that's not necessarily on your fault, And so, like, you have a desire, and you can understand the other person
to give the people what they
want. But that's not your fault. I mean, I think manipulation is with malice intent, and so I guess what I'm trying to say is, if your wife has a man who has a high EQ. You can probably tell pretty easily if your wife's upset, and you might not be able to relate with some people when men generally say, I don't understand my wife. Like, I don't know why she's upset. You probably do know why she's upset. And so, like, so she didn't lose out. So kind of like, okay, this guy can read me.
Yeah.
That's great because now we have a better depth to our communication. So I wouldn't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Smoozing.
No, and like, so I guess my thing is like, more than just because I don't think. What am I trying to say here? Let me give me a minute. Okay, so in my dating relationship, I was very intentional with. I think with my high IQ, I knew exactly what she wanted, or not exactly what she wanted, but I could get a pretty good gauge of like, hey, this will make her happy. Let's do it,
right?
Because there is a benefit for me as well.
Yeah, you get the girl.
Yes. In marriage, though, when it becomes routine, you can very much lose the pursuit. And I think that's what I'm getting at. Because it's like, no, I still know exactly what pisses her off and what she wants. And now the coin's flipped where it's like, this is going to piss her off. I'm going to do this. And now it's not like, oh, I know she wants to go on a date or have connection, but it's like now in marriage the forbidden fruit is no longer forbidden, so it loses its appeal at face value when you're looking at it through a sinful lens, and just a lethargic lens too, like, oh, I worked a full day. Like, I remember things I used to do when we were dating, and it was insane. Literally, like, the one time she was going on a trip or something, I went to her house at 4 a.m. to like put flowers in her car before she left, a note and some chocolates. And now, dude, we're married, and it's like, nah, I lost that. And that's something where it's like, you need to keep fighting for.
I think hormones are a powerful motivator.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's what I'm saying. And like in this whole thing, like, you're hopped up on hormones. But it's not just an excuse. Like, now, in the outside, people would look at me and be like, oh, he's a good husband, doing just enough to be good. But it's like, don't let that just enough to fool everyone else, because you're not fooling your wife. Like, she's the one person that knows. Everyone else you can fool.
Right.
And it's just like that just enough to be good type deal, where it's like, okay, yeah, like, Back then, I was 110%. Now, life gets in the way, and you can make any excuse you want because they're probably all valid. Like, hey, now I have bills to pay. Now I need to work 12 hours a day or whatever. Now I have kids. Now I have whatever and whatever. But you never made those excuses because you still had some of those things when you were dating.
Dennis, do you know who Dennis Rainey is?
Dennis Rainey. The name sounds incredibly familiar, but no.
He's like he helps run. I think it's a Weekend to Remember.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
It's like a marriage enrichment.
I think our parents actually give us like a thing to that at like our 5-year or something.
Well, it's awesome. You definitely need to go. But one of the things he said that really stuck was being intentional. And he said it in the context with your kids, but it applies also to your wife. And the fact of the matter is that you only get
one shot
opportunity
to seize everything you've ever wanted. Are you going to capture it or just let it slip? Sorry, that was you set me up too good for
There's
that
curse
one.
words in that song, everybody. All right, it's like Oppenheimer. There's a lot of good stuff, also some warnings. Go ahead, listen to it though. But you only get so much time in a day. You only get so many hours, and it's if you don't prioritize, life just tends to run you over, and then you get buried. And so, setting your priorities. I remember his kids were saying, I always remember Dad being intentional with us. And that was a powerful moment for me. It's like, oh, if I don't prioritize, cognitively set dates, do things, I'm just going to fall asleep on the couch every night for the rest of my life. Or wherever. I'm just going to come home from work. I'm going to eat supper. I'm going to sit in the couch and watch my kids play. Not say just veg, but right now it's just I'm so tired. I just want to
I don't want to go over to Jeffrey's for his podcast. I know. I'm so tired.
That was a thought. But I was like, no, this is going to be an epic experience.
It will be.
I'm going to prioritize doing this thing. And so my lovely wife's like, yeah, go do it. And I watch the kids, and then you can go hang out with Jeffrey and change the world.
Oh, God bless.
Love that woman. Yeah. Being intentional, but that's really hard for me.
Dude, I think it's hard for everyone.
I don't know. I feel like it depends on your personality type. I think the drawback to being high EQ, I think more charismatic and stuff is that there's less structure. So the catch-22 is maybe if you don't have such high EQ, you might have more structure in your life. I feel like George is really good at planning dates and just planning stuff in general. And he probably
that boy's EQ sucks.
I don't know why Meg's so upset all the time.
I don't know.
She's not that angry.
Just ripping on him. He's not even here to defend himself. Poor guy. We suck.
I remember when I was working for him, I dropped something and it really hurt. And I was like, oh, I'm so hurt. And he's like, you're fine. No, I'm genuinely hurt.
No,
you'll be all right. I'm like, no, I am hurt. He's like, oh.
Well, I wouldn't have been hurt. Yeah. Just sympathize with me. Dude, that's a big one. Okay, now that I just said that, my mind's going to go on a tangent. Sympathy. I can relate. So, I think I talked about this. Honestly, my memory's so bad, I feel like I just repeat topics from podcast to podcast. But sympathizing, so I feel like I can sympathize with, sinners, darkened people very well. But I cannot sympathize that well with a pregnant wife. Which is, it's horrible to say.
Current events.
But the thing about it is especially in the first trimester, nothing really changes. She doesn't look any different. Everything is changing within her body. But I don't see any of that. So it's I'm sick. I'm going to lay on the couch. And it's you're fine.
Get off the couch.
Get up. I'm going to work. And
you should be working
then
too.
It's and then I see some drugged out addict on meth. And I'm like, oh, I could understand how I could do that. It's what am I doing? But yeah, sympathy is a weird one because I feel like I can very much sympathize for like the worst of people, but then people where it's like, because I can understand how they would get there.
Right.
But then if I don't understand,
Yep.
like, I have no idea what pregnancy is like. Like, that's something I'm never going to understand. I'll probably have a much better grasp on it after like
Just
a couple
triggered
kids
half
deep
your
or something.
audience.
Yeah. But it's like with the first time going through it, it's like, dude, I have no idea. Like,
Right.
I can't sympathize with that because I have no idea what it's like. And like my mind doesn't even go there.
Right.
Like with drugs and stuff, it's like, oh, my mind goes there sometimes. Like I can totally get how you can get hooked up on that. But like with that, it's such a foreign thing where it's hard for me to sympathize with.
I think this is men speaking about pregnancy here. So I think trying to sympathize.
Yeah, we have no credibility in this. We're literally talking about something.
Dude, I have this is a tangent, funny pregnancy story. So my wife, for the first pregnancy, got a doula.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what a doula...
Tell me about that.
All right, so I didn't know what a doula was. I thought it was like witchcraft. Or something. I was like, no, that's not... No, it's not witchcraft. It's like some lady...
Like an emotional support person?
Yeah,
Am I right
I
in
should
that?
know by now, but she's there.
Yeah.
And she's helpful.
She's there. The perfect way for a man to explain something. So I know this is a doula. She's there. Gives us no context on what this object is. She's there.
She's
does
just very
things.
helpful, and
Yeah.
she says good things that are helpful. Yeah. Anyhow, I thought I'd make a funny joke. It's like she's like talking about birthing or whatever, and like I was like, oh, I was constipated one time and I had birth, you know. And she did not laugh. And she just gave me this look like, you're retarded.
Oh, dude, those are the worst. Those are the worst.
It was so painful.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, she did not laugh. And
There's been-
my wife gave me a look. I was like, okay, this is the wrong crowd.
Yeah. Sorry, a doula. Jerkwad. Be my emotional support. Hype me up,
Yeah, I
dude.
know.
That was a good joke.
No, yeah, she knew exactly. I've never fainted in my life, but during birth, for the second one, things were going a little sideways, and I thought I was gonna like lose my wife,
Really?
and my baby, and like it was just like you don't cognitively realize the depth of what's happening in the moment, but you just like it's like getting punched but only feeling the pain like seconds later. Like you know the pain's coming, but like you haven't felt it yet. And like so like I see this happening, it's like, oh, this could be like really bad.
Yeah.
You know, and like so you're starting to like I'm starting to like cognitively lose it a little bit, and I can feel myself like fading out. And like you know that one Bible story where like Jonathan is like weak and feeble, like he's not allowed to eat. What was that?
What the flip?
Yeah, he's not allowed to eat food, and he's getting they are attacking the Philistines. And
I don't know if I know
King
that
Saul. Well, he's not allowed to eat food, and King Saul is like, we're gonna keep pursuing the enemy. No one's allowed to eat or anything. And Jonathan's like, I can't go on anymore. And then he ate some honey, and his
You told me about that.
Yeah, his
Yeah,
eyes
yeah.
like brightened, and like life came back up to him. That's exactly what happened to me in the birthing room, where like the doula, she gave me a little honey stick, and I was like, oh, I sat down and ate this like little bit of honey, and like I could feel my whole
Just
vitality come back. It was wild. It was a wild
Dude.
experience.
Did you ever watch the movie Limitless? Limitless?
Yes.
You know when he takes the pill and
Yes.
then everything
It was like
brightens?
that, dude.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. This is a tangent. You were talking about fainting. I fainted once in my life. No, I fainted twice in my life. Holy. The one was embarrassing.
You're so weak.
Yeah, I'm such a frail individual.
So you have high EQ, so it's fine.
We, our school had a Christmas program. And I was on the bleach. No, I fainted 3 times in my life. Holy. I'm just passing out left and right. Was on the bleachers, like, singing, but just in practice. Like, it wasn't the real
Go
thing yet.
on.
Locked my knees, apparently. Passed out. Fell down the bleachers.
Oh, my
and,
goodness.
like, behind them. Totally got stuck. That wasn't even the one I was thinking about. The one I was thinking about, I woke up in the middle of the night, had to pee, walked over to the bathroom, and like the door was shut to the bathroom, I couldn't find the doorknob. I could not. I was like feeling the whole door. Next thing you know, I'm laying flat on the floor, passed out.
Pee everywhere.
And no, luckily I didn't pee myself. And my dad's like, "Did you just pass out?" And I was like, "Huh?" Like, passed out there. And then the third one was in George's wedding. Did you know I passed out in George's wedding?
You passed out in George's
Dude,
wedding?
horrible.
Were you like up front?
Yeah, standing up front.
Really?
I thought I was probably like 14 at the time, and I thought I ruined my brother's wedding. I was like, "Oh no!" So literally, we're standing there. The lights are on us. We're in a 3-piece suit, and I'm just sweating. And I was short and fat. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Ow! I was hoping you would coddle me in that instant. No, you weren't short. You were beautiful. Anywho, I was sweating profusely.
I can't believe you're thin, actually.
No, now I'm getting back to that little boy. I'm
fat,
pudging
dumb, and
up
happy.
again. Yeah, marriage, dude.
It's awesome.
It is.
But anyway.
Anywho, I'm standing up there, and I can feel my vision tunneling in. And I was like...
collapsing.
I was like, okay. And like at the point my vision really started to go blurry, like they were starting to walk out. And I was like, okay. I was the last guy to walk out. I was like, all I need to do is make it down the aisle and then I can collapse. Like that was my thought process. I was like, as long as I make it down the aisle, I'll collapse. Like as long as I even make it to the girl that was like I was escorting, I was like, she can
hold me.
Yeah, she can kind of hold me and I can just limp down the aisle and fall at the end of the aisle.
Take my arm, baby.
Yep. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And like every person that walked out, like my vision, it just felt like it went in stages. Like, tsh,
Oh no.
tsh, and like slowly tunneled in. And like it was my turn to walk. And I was like, I freaking got this. And I took one step and my vision just went black.
Nope.
The preacher caught me.
What?
Because I was going to fall. Preacher caught me. I wake up. I'm on the first row of the pews. I'm just like, oh. There's like 4 people around me just like fanning me. And I was just like, what happened?
George didn't care. He kept walking.
No, he didn't even know. And then I'm bawling at this point. I was like, I ruined my brother's wedding. And I was like, how arrogant of me to think that would have stopped his wedding.
It's all about me.
Yeah. Turns out George poisoned me. No, I'm kidding. What was that piece about?
Well, he might slip something.
Prank.
He would totally prank you.
But, dude, yeah. So that was my 3 pass out experiences.
That'd be hilarious.
That was super random. How do we get there?
I have no idea. I can't remember.
See, okay, this is also, dude, we are just everywhere on this episode. But here's the thing that I don't like about planning out. You don't get this. So, like, yes, it's chaotic, and I understand that. But I feel like it's genuine. So, every good part of a famous speech is improv. Like, I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King.
That wasn't improv.
Yeah, it was.
No.
He scrapped his notes. Dude, I took a speech class in high school. Winston Churchill, his famous speech, that was like when he dropped the notes. I don't know what speech it was, but I just remember the speech teacher telling me that. Like, I Have a Dream.
Meet them on the
that's
beaches.
when he finally... What?
Yeah, like we'll meet them at the beaches. We'll meet them in.
Yeah, probably.
We'll meet them in the beaches. We'll meet them in the air.
But like every part that came from like legitimately their heart was like what they felt in the moment, and they ditched the notes. Obviously, there's less structure to that, but I think we can get on topics that we don't generally get on. So like my brain before we started this, I was like, oh, like. Reuben has a super fascinating life. Like, he worked as a helicopter pilot. I'm going to talk about that.
Mechanic.
He went to... Oh, yeah, mechanic, sorry. Like, Harvest Net, like, kind of being the missionary. I was like, that's sweet. And then he did a bunch of odd jobs. We didn't talk about any of that stuff. Just talking about boobs in movies.
One shot.
Yeah.
Lose yourself.
Eminem and boobs.
It's actually a really good title to this song, though. It's actually very Christian. I'm just saying, man.
Do you know, speaking of Christian songs that you don't know are Christian, do you know The Killers?
Well, I don't know if I'd say Eminem's a Christian song.
Yeah, I know, but you just said that's what sparked it in my mind. Do you know The Killers? Like Mr. Brightside?
Nope.
The song?
Nope.
Never mind. Trash that segment because you're an uncultured pig.
Tell me about it.
So apparently there's this band that's very popular. They're early 90s, I think, called The Killers.
I probably heard a couple of their songs.
Yeah, you know Mr. Brightside. but I don't think we can play it for copyright issues. I don't know if you're allowed to do that type of stuff.
I'm sure it'd be okay.
Yeah. Well, no one's listening to this
gonna go viral
anyway.
And they're gonna copyright infringe you.
Okay, let me look it up real quick. YouTube. So when any time someone says like the most popular Christian band, a lot of people say Creed because they were.
Really?
Do you know Creed?
Yeah.
Yeah, very popular.
They were Christian?
You mean, yeah.
With arms wide open.
With arms
under the sunlight.
Killers. Mr. Brightside. Dude, you have to know this song. All right, we did get the rights from this song, so no one sue us. This is just an ad. Hang on, give me.
You're not going to get a lot.
Huh?
No one sue us. They're not going to get a lot.
Yeah, that's true. What? Really? Dude, they were so popular. Anywho, apparently, like, if you actually listen to the lyrics and break them down, like, it's very Christ-oriented. So that's a theory.
Coming out of his cage.
Theory. Yeah. But boy, did that segment suck because you didn't know what I was talking about.
I'm sorry. Maybe Dawson should have showed up.
Yeah, but whatever. That guy's doing beans. We're so stupid. Oh, there's the Reuben. Speaking of songs that are not Christian but phenomenal, I don't know if this is a Christian song, but it hits so hard. It's Mind of Hobson.
Mind of Hobson.
Did you ever hear it?
I have not. I'm going to read another one for you, apparently.
Dude, it's insane. So it's a rap song, and the guy just... It sounds so honest. Like, it sounds like... The whole gist of the song is like... And I don't... Like, he's cussing nonstop.
Sure. It's culture.
Yeah. And it's the struggle between, like, figuring out if he believes in God or not.
Right.
Awesome song. It's so cool. Look it up.
It's like modern day
Mind
theology.
of Hobson by Hobson. I think that's how you spell it or say it. It's Hopsin. Hobson. I think.
I mean, like, everyone struggles with the reality of God.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually find that a lot of Christians hide behind the safety of the Bible and not pursue God. And it's really sad that the relationship that's available there is hidden behind a lot of Christianisms.
Yeah.
Christianese, and people don't like pursue the they don't pursue the meaning behind the things. No. They don't pursue the theology behind the words. And to a felt experience. It just stays as brain matter. And if it just stays there, then it doesn't really perfect theology doesn't get you to heaven.
No, it's the power. There's no power if it just stays in your brain.
Right. And I think I hear a lot of these songs, just pure genuine pursuit without the knowledge of the way. And it's kind of refreshing when you hear genuine pursuit and genuine, even in ignorance and even with the swearing and the cussing and all the badness. It's like, wow, like that person really is like struggling with the reality.
It seems genuine.
Yeah. And like I know I have the answers, but like it's like having the answers to the test in front of you, but like not understanding the subject matter. And it's like, oh, I have all the answers here in front of me. Like I can, like if you gave me a calculus test, like I never took calculus.
Me neither.
For example, and like you had the questions of life on the test, and God and all these things, and in calculus, like and you had all the answers there. I'd be able to see the problems, and I might kind of understand a little bit of the problems, and I'd be able to see the answer, but I wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how a lot of the Bible is. And we have the answers when we know the words, and we could like, well, what's the answer to this question number 5? And be like, well, it's 17 and
38,
40, 41. And
another song reference that went right over your head, dude.
I was giving a what is the oh boy, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The answer to the universe is like 47 or 41.
Now I was thinking Fetty Wap, the rapper. Two different cross signals. Continue.
Crossing streams. Anyway, yeah, so I think the Bible is like, we have all the answers in front of us, whether we understand them or not. That's on us. But we are supposed to knock and seek and pursue. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we fall short on that because, we have the comforts of life around us.
Yeah.
And then I see other people in mainstream culture, like Eminem mm-hmm. and the Killers or whoever else, that are really struggling with the grasping with this deity who we call God and trying to understand the things that are self-evident in the world around them.
Yeah.
And that's honorable,
mm-hmm.
even though it's coded in a terrible culture.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Do you think, piggybacking off that topic, do you think that, how do I word this? Those people, okay, so you can be a Christian
mm-hmm.
your entire life and miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And like go through the motions like, oh, this is just what we do, and totally miss it. And I feel like not even go to heaven because you actually didn't believe.
Right.
You just had head knowledge
yep.
of everything. And then there's people, like you've been saying, that know nothing,
mm-hmm.
but they believe.
Right.
And do you think that a part of that head knowledge but not actually believing is people aren't willing to be honest with themselves and how crummy they actually are? Because I can only speak for myself and my personal experiences. It is very hard to say anything. Like, we are filthy people.
Mm-hmm.
Our thought life is disgusting. And when you're actually honest, you sound like a horrible Christian. Like, when you're professing to be a Christian, like I've professed to be a Christian for 19 years now, mm-hmm. something around there, 19, 20 years. And if I say something to another Christian that goes on in my thought life, they would be repulsed. And I feel like with the people that aren't Christians or just like struggling, they can be honest with themselves because it's like, dude, like, this is just where I'm at. But when you have this persona of, whoa, he's a Christian, there's a certain level of professionality
right.
you almost need to keep. And I feel like it doesn't allow you to have those very dark, honest conversations with yourself. Right. Yep. Because when you're actually like, there's been times on the podcast where I'm like, this is going to sound horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say it, but it's like, this is what I'm going through.
Right.
Like, if I'm not willing to actually say this and actually process through it,
right.
It's never going to change.
Lean into the dark kind of thing. Yep.
And I feel like maybe, and I think it's almost our fault as other Christians, because it's like, how sad is it that a fellow Christian can't come to us because they think we're going to judge them for something because they're like, dude, they're going to think we're so dark and twisted.
Right.
Newsflash, we're all farting dark and twisted. Maybe I am a little bit more than other people because other people don't tell me,
mm-hmm.
but like, we're all like that.
Right.
And it's just like, I feel like those people have this freedom, or maybe not even a freedom, but they just say what's on their mind, and that's why they get billions of views.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, now we're going into a whole different tangent, but my brain just went there. Christian music. Most of Christian music I can't relate to. Praise Jesus, everything is perfect, God bless him in suffering. And it's like,
I surrender all.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean? Like, you mm-hmm. sound thrilled, mm-hmm. which is obviously the Sunday school answer,
mm-hmm.
but when I'm going through that,
mm-hmm.
my brain's nothing like that.
Right.
And obviously I think there are songs out there that are phenomenal and like, but for the general populace on like a WJTL or something. But when you hear Hobson or Eminem, it's raw.
Right.
Nothing is filtered. It's this raw emotion that is genuine. And even though it's these horrible lyrics of cursing and swearing, although I may argue that sometimes it sounds pretty darn cool.
They got it rhymed in pretty nice.
Yeah. You relate to it instantly because you're like, they understand me.
Yeah.
When I listen to some of these Christian songs, it's like, they don't understand me. They don't, like, I'm not even in there. Like, I feel like that's a seasoned, mature Christian, and I'm this dirtbag struggling with all this garbage. And maybe, as a society, we're actually all struggling with garbage, and that's why we relate better to the secular songs. And it's like, should we actually be faking it or putting on this persona that we have it all together? Because I don't think we do.
Right. I think that's a weak point of Christian music that, well, first off, I think I wanted to say was, God does meet you where you're at. Go back to that again. But I do think that is a weak point in Christianity where the music, rightfully so, should be focusing on God, but there's so much expression to be felt when you're relating with God. And if you look at the Psalms, you look at like David, and he has like some pretty like woe is me songs, right?
Psalms.
And
Psalms.
Psalms is songs.
It just got in my head.
and, and he had some pretty like woe is me, and you're reading it like, David, like, get over yourself, like, be a man, and
low EQ.
Yeah, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, kind of thing, and it's and so I think today modern Christianity tends to for some reason lack this whole genre of like, all right, I'm going through a tough time. God, why is this happening? I'm sure there's like quite a few songs. Actually, who was Toby Mac has a song when
Toby Mac. What a throwback!
When his son died. Yeah, he has. I can't remember the name of the song, but he's just like, yeah, this is pretty terrible.
This sucks.
This sucks. But I will still trust in you. I think Third Day has another song like that. So there are some songs out there, but there's a lot of depression going on in the world right now.
Yeah, dude.
And
I'm on Xanax constantly. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
So I think there is a market, if I can say market, out there for Christian music that speaks to the sadness, but also points to God. Because that's a lot of the songs with David, like, I'm sad, I'm depressed, woe is me,
I'm
but
blue,
God. But God.
Yeah. That's good. Like because if you just say the sad and depression and you don't throw that but God, then it's nothing.
Right.
But sometimes it's just emphasis on like God, which is obviously a phenomenal emphasis, but it's like they miss everything before it and then you can't relate.
Right.
Whoa. Nice thought. Genius.
We made it through.
Yeah. Wow.
That was one tangent from a
just skip
topic.
to minute 58 and just listen to that little nugget. Also too, if you're listening and you have Christian songs or any songs, throw them in the comment that are good because I love music. Yeah. I love music.
It'd be a great idea. It's always nice to broaden your horizon of music you can listen to.
Yeah, music that you guys are into right now. Put it in the comments. That would be sick. I love music. And I think music, so there's 3 things, I believe, if I'm getting this right, that spanned every culture, every language, and it's food, laughter, and music. Because
it's got to be more than just that.
I know, but there you go, just disagreeing with me, throwing off my whole mojo. But like, okay,
go on, sorry.
Like laughter, like if someone else is laughing or if something silly happens, you don't need to speak their language and you will still connect with them over that. Like with food, you can experience that. Like,
right.
The no language barrier, like the phenomenal taste or the bad taste of food. And like music is another one where it's like, even if it's in a different language, just the beat, the rhythm, like everything, it spans that gap.
Right.
Which I think is really sweet. Like, I remember we went down to Puerto Rico for a short-term mission trip, and we went to one of their church services on Sunday, and they had drums, and like the guys were singing their heart out. It was so sweet. I didn't understand a word they were saying, but you knew.
Right.
Like, like it spans that.
Right.
And I think that's why I love music so much. Like, for how much I love music, you would think I would be like so good at singing, but
and you could play guitar or something.
Yeah, but I can't. I can't do any of that.
I love music. I just can't do it.
Yeah. But dude,
That's a lot of people though.
Songs just are super powerful in my life. And I think, honestly, if I can equate this, and maybe some people would disagree if they know me personally, I think I'm a very happy person and a generally upbeat person.
Yeah,
and I consider all of that pretty much to music. Like, I kind of live for this stuff, which maybe idolizing it a little, which is bad.
Maybe it's your gift.
Yeah, like, and it like focuses me too.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm working on like estimating,
Mm-hmm.
I will be blaring music in my ears, and then I can actually like it tunes everything else out, and I can like focus. That might be a little bit of my ADHD, like having to be like.
I think people are just different.
Yeah.
And ADHD's not a thing.
What? Really? Ooh. Okay. So why don't you think ADHD is a thing?
I think.
You think it's a made up thing?
I think it's okay. I think it's a thing, but I don't think the prescription is what they say it is.
Oh yeah, no. Everything's a. I mean, but you try Adderall, dude?
Yeah. Have you seen the effects of Adderall?
Yeah. No, but I would love to do Adderall just once. And then maybe twice, and then maybe like 700 times.
Focused. Can't focus on anything else. I'm so focused.
Yeah. But I'd love to do Adderall. But obviously, it's just like it's like a Band-Aid for something.
Right.
Like it's not actually curing. I would agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I think for the most of time we have been a farming culture in all cultures. All right. So we're all hey. This is case in point about me proving a point through the long story.
Yep.
All right.
Strap in, folks, because this is going to be a while. Remember what he just said. So
ADHD.
Yep, let's go.
We are all used to like working from sun up to sundown. Not necessarily us, but like, and just going and being productive because just surviving. You don't necessarily know where your next meal is going to come from a lot of times, and so like you had to perform and so I think that's still in us. And so I think when you take a kid, a 6-year-old child, sit him down and tell him to stay put for 8 hours, like I can't even sit down for 8 hours.
No.
Straight. Like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That might work for like, certain types of people.
For someone that can't walk physically.
Yeah. But I think that our system of addressing that problem is completely skewed towards, I don't know, pharmaceutical companies or something. Not to get conspiratorial.
For sure. But like, if you think about it, and I'm not a big conspiracy theory, but I do believe in this one. Pharmaceutical companies are the only reason they are there is to create a lifelong patient, which is a lifelong customer, which gives them lifelong money.
They're there to make you better, Jeffrey.
No, they're there to make money. Like with Adderall and stuff, it's like, well, if we would prescribe a kid to just, hey, if you can't focus, go out and play in nature. They can't make money off that. But if they're like, hey, here, take this drug that you're going to need to keep taking, and you're going to need to keep taking at a higher dose because it's going to wear off, they're making millions.
Right.
Like, I truly believe, and now we're getting on a little bit of another tangent, the cure for cancer is already out there, but why would you cure cancer if you can make billions and billions of dollars from lifelong patients?
Your point's already proven. I think they cured, it was some kind of liver or kidney disease, and the senator for this is really obscure, but the senator for the state found out that the drug company had the cure and wasn't putting it out for this very reason. Like this has already happened. Yeah. So this is, you're probably right.
Yeah. But
going on the point of making money, so I've done extended fasting. It's not for everyone, but
not for the faint of heart. No. You wussies out there.
Get strong.
Stay hard.
Yeah. We're going to have David Goggins in here soon. But in Russia, fasting is a treatment endorsed by the state. And there's state-run fasting houses.
Really?
In Germany, there's some of the fasting houses in Germany because the medical benefits of fasting, extended fasting. Some of the fasting they did was...
What is extended fasting? How long of a period of time is extended fasting?
Depending on what your symptoms are, it can be anywhere from 3 to 21 days.
Okay.
So I know I did an extended fast that was over 12 days, and my diet changed. I was able to eat unlimited fruits, without getting diarrhea.
Yeah.
It was insane. When I came back around, like when I came back around, my warts went away. It was. I had some warts like on my hands and my and stuff.
I have a wart on my knee right now. I should fast.
Starve yourself.
Yeah, maybe we should try that right now.
There's a lot of. I was watching a TED talk on the benefits of fasting while you're getting chemotherapy.
Oh yeah,
it was wild. For cancer.
Yeah.
So, quick tangent on that. When you're fasting for an extended state, your body enters almost a coma state. And
como se dice? Just be able to speak Spanish.
And
oh, it's so stupid.
and it essentially shields the good cells and exposes the bad cells. So when you get the chemo, it's doubly effective on the cancer cells and less harmful on your good cells. At least that's what they were saying. So
Cody, the Snyder, which is the other guy that kind of does this with us sometimes. Mm-hmm. His dad had cancer, and I don't know if that's why he got into this, but for whatever reason, he did some research and found out if you fast 3 times a year for 3 days, that it significantly decreases your chance of getting some sort of cancer.
Interesting.
And that there's actually, and I didn't do any of the research, so I can't really say, but he did a bunch of it, and he's like, yeah, there's actually a ton of health benefits.
You should have him on, just a taste.
Dude, I try to always get him on, but he's always busy. The guy's lives a very busy life.
You should give him $50.
I mean, he
throw some money at him.
Yeah. He wants to be the guy behind the scenes, kind of like what you wanted to be, and then I forced you into this.
Dawson didn't show up.
Got you in the chokehold.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Dawson did a no-show. Or was that just a story?
Yeah, no, Dawson, I actually don't have him on ever. I just wanted to get you here. Oh, my. It's literally epic. Do you want to take a quick little break, or are you good?
Let's take a break.
Okay, let's take a break quick, and then we'll be right back.
Hence the headband.
Does he? Yeah, he does wear a lot of headbands. All right, folks, and we're back from the break. Where do you want to go from here, Reuben? Where do you want to... Well, first off, we're sitting at 8:30. When do you want to be done?
Well, 8:30 is literally my bedtime.
You said you were willing to stay till 12.
I am willing, but you put the ball in my court.
I was willing, but she wasn't ready. So I settled for a burger and a grape snow cone. Dropped her off early, but I didn't go home. All right.
The end.
What? Do you not know that song?
I know that song.
Yeah, I was going to say, come on now. I feel like we've just been song guys tonight, which is kind of fun.
Groovy.
You ever have any, aspirations to be in a band or anything? Can you sing at all?
I was in gospel team.
No way.
Yes way.
Good for you.
And this is a funny story, actually. I was supposed to sing a solo, which I practiced for it during school, performances and stuff like that, practicing. And then my parents were hey, we're going to go to Florida. And that was
during the trip, when you were supposed to.
We were supposed to go
no
on
way.
a performance, and I was like, I know I've been practicing for this solo, but I'm going to go to Florida.
I'm going to Florida. Do you think your life would have took a musical direction if you would have did that solo and performed that solo?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
But I had lots of fun on the trip. So,
well, was it just a family trip to Florida?
So it was probably me, Mike Shirk, and Kyle Martin.
Mike? Wow, those are names I have not heard in a long time.
As we refer to Kyle as Black Kyle. Because we know so many Kyles.
Yeah. Black Kyle.
Shout out Black Kyle.
This is probably racist, but I'm looking for black friends right now. I feel like that'd just be...
I don't think that's how it works.
I don't know either, but maybe I'll put out a Craigslist ad or something. I don't know. So my thing is, I just love meeting new people. Mm-hmm. And I don't have many... I don't know if I have any black friends, to be honest. I had a black friend, but then he lives far away.
You didn't like him then?
Yeah. I kind of hated his freaking guts.
Reason that you didn't like him.
Yeah. He worked for me for a little bit. I'm just kidding. That's horrible.
Getting banned.
What was I saying? But he lived far away, so then we didn't really keep in contact. But
you could... there's foreign exchange programs.
I feel like that's kind of a silly. Why are you doing this foreign exchange? I just want some black friends, or just cultured friends.
I grew up with foreign exchange students.
Really?
Yeah, my parents would do foreign exchange students all the time.
Yeah, that's
and it was
true.
awesome.
A lot of people used to do foreign. Do people still do foreign exchange students?
It was almost actually awesome. There was one time it wasn't awesome.
Do you remember when? Okay, let's get back to that. I just need to say this because it's on my mind. Do you remember when, like, your friend or someone you knew would have like a smoking hot foreign exchange? Did you ever experience that?
No, I was too young.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, I take it back. Like, I had crushes because I was like 8, and the foreign exchange
okay.
students were like
So you stopped
20.
after you were. Oh, what the? Okay, yeah,
I mean,
I get that.
so my parents would have like foreign exchange students from like Japan and Korea, and I think mostly Japan and Korea.
I don't know why we like those countries
Asians.
so much.
But it was cool because it was such a foreign culture. It was like,
Oh, hence the name.
okay, but like, okay, I compare it to like Star Wars because, you know, you walk into like this, in the movie.
I'm so excited. Go on.
In the movie Star Wars, like you see, like they walk into the bar scene and there's like the weird look, like everyone's like
yeah.
like all the different like alien races come together, and it's just like the strange. Yeah, there's a whistling going on in the background.
I'm not sure what's
There's
going
a strange mesh of like, you know, the weird looking people and the weird looking aliens, and like it's cool. And I feel like that's how it used to be back in the day before the internet and before like the exposure to like all the different races of the world. Like, you would be growing up in your own culture. Presumably everyone would pretty much look the same and fit a certain mold.
Yep.
And then like, let's get on a ship and we're gonna travel for like 3 weeks, and all of a sudden there's people with black skin, or like, oh, there's people with black hair, or there's people with,
You have black hair.
I mean, but like it would have been less like, you know, but I think we see that nowadays, like the hair colors and the eye colors, and it's, oh yeah, like they have green eyes, you know, or they have red hair. Can you imagine never seeing anybody with red hair and like all of a sudden like,
And be like, sorcerer.
yeah, like what's up with that? It'd be such like an alien contact moment,
Yeah.
like, or like even like you start going into the Asian cultures and like, you know, people's faces are different, and like people's noses are different, and people's ears are different. Like people's taller, shorter, you know, and like, you know, Star Wars, and it's just
It actually makes sense. I was wondering how you were going to tie that back in, but it makes sense.
so. Anyhow, my parents would have people usually from Asian cultures, and it was so cool because the cuisine they would make. Like, I tasted sushi for the first time when I was like 8, and I thought it was gross. And they ate with chopsticks. I actually learned how to eat with chopsticks, and so
That's cool.
I will.
I still can't really eat with chopsticks.
Yeah, I'll beat you in any
And we'll just go
chopstick
like,
contest. Yeah, so you learn a bunch of different things. It's really cool. But the one annoying experience we had, and this is not a diss against Spain,
Oh, let's just rip them.
but there was one time we got a Spanish foreign exchange student, and all he wanted to do, I think, was like check out the girls.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And because he was like, my parents thought it'd be kind of cool to get someone my age.
Yeah.
And it would have been kind of cool if he wanted to go out and do stuff like sports and
How old were
activities.
you at this point?
Probably like 14 or 15.
Oh, yeah.
And
Hopped
they
up
got
on
this,
hormones.
He got this like chubby Spanish guy, and all he wanted to do was sit around and watch TV. We didn't have TV at the time, so my parents took a TV and put it on the porch with a couch. And he was just sitting outside on the porch watching TV most of the time.
Why didn't they bring it in the house?
I don't know.
It was of the devil.
I don't know.
Televisions of the devil.
I don't know. That's a great question. Now that I think about it,
It was so normal for you. Yeah, it was out on the
he was
porch.
on the porch watching TV.
Why isn't he in the living room?
Oh, there's
Beats
no
me.
room for it, I guess.
And there was no room for him. That's awesome.
But yeah, apparently, so like soccer is a big thing. So
Yeah.
I tried to go play soccer with him, and he was not about it.
He was
You know,
just about girls, girls, girls.
well, everything was like a contest, like Formula One, American NASCAR sucks.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, okay, you know,
go home.
that's fine. It was just a big competition, and I was kind of competitive. It just wasn't a good time.
Oh, you like watching TV on the porch? You're going to sleep on the porch, you dirtbag.
Yeah, that was just one experience. So, but that was the only bad experience. Apparently, when we went to go meet with all the other foreign exchange students, like we must have just got the bad egg because all the other like Spanish kids were like super cool. Yeah. And it was funny because we were like all playing soccer, and the other kids were like, "I thought you said this guy was stupid," or whatever. What they said, and he's pretty cool. I was like, "Yeah, yes, yeah,
hola." What am I doing?
But yeah, no, it was always a good experience. The foreign exchange students are generally pretty respectful.
Yeah.
I would lean towards getting older ones, like 18, 20, 21, because they're more focused on their schoolwork and they're more mature. But in the Oriental cultures, can I say that? Is that
why not?
Asian culture? I don't know. It just feels like it's not okay to say for some reason nowadays.
I mean, there's the Oriental Express. People like that. Isn't that like a train?
I don't think you can say Oriental anymore.
Really?
I think so.
No way. What's wrong with it?
Racist.
Yeah, but why?
I don't know. Why is anything racist nowadays? Anyway.
Hard R I can understand, but like Oriental, I thought that was fine. Like I feel like that's a very not sophisticated, but like a very appropriate.
Like
maybe it's not cancel culture, dude.
Yep.
All right. Oriental.
Yeah. So anyway, let's fight back. Yeah. So the cultures are generally pretty respectful. Like they're like honor based.
Yes.
And so the one time I went to Japan, it was pretty awesome.
You went to Japan? I did not know that.
Yeah. I was working on helicopters.
You heard it here.
Dude, it was such a... Okay, so I'll give one story from Japan. So, again, Star Wars, right?
Yep.
And I get to the hotel, and I was like, I'm trying sushi, right? Japanese sushi. So what do? I go to the corner store. Premium sushi at the corner store, right? But I go to the refrigerator there and get my sushi, and I go to purchase the sushi, and I hand the lady my credit card, and she takes a plate that she has and goes and gives me a bow, head down, bowed, and plate extended over her head, kind of like one of those maneuvers, right? And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Like what? I didn't want to come across as this arrogant snob. Like, yes, bow before me.
Just start rain dancing.
And so I was just like, I want to be culturally sensitive. So like, I bowed and tried to hand my head a credit card. And I halfway through was like, I can't see where to put the credit card. And so it's like how do you bow and aim your credit card at the same time? So it's ended up being this weird up head bow. And yeah.
So you that's what the plate was for you to put your
credit card on. She wouldn't handle my credit card because
that's awesome.
Germs or something. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it's more like honor and respect.
Yeah,
thing.
that sounds better. Let's go with that because it sounds way nicer.
Yeah. But that's their culture, that kind of thing. But yeah, so the same thing when she ran my card up, she put the card back on the plate and handed it back to me. And so I still had I didn't know what to do, so I still did the awkward bow thing back. I think they honored
Did she
my
speak
attempt.
any English, or was dude? I would have loved to be able to hear her thoughts. Like, what the freak is this guy doing?
Yeah, I'm not gonna attempt the Japanese
Why is he
accent.
curtsying?
I think it's the kowtow. Is
the kowtow? Cowtail?
No. I think it's so. There's different levels of bowing.
Oh,
and
do they? And so they mean different things.
Yeah. So
okay.
There's the friendship bow, hello, and
hello. No.
Honestly, if the little guttural, you can almost sound like, oh, look at it. And I learned one Japanese word or two. Arigato is I think.
Oh, I heard
hello,
that word before.
And Mitsu is water.
Mitsubishi. What's that? Wait.
Sure.
Water what?
I don't know. I was just told that. Maybe Mitsu. It's not that at all. Maybe it's dork. Just walking around
Mitsu. You're just cursing everyone out. Mitsu, please.
No, okay. Get him some water to wash his mouth
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was an awesome experience. Going to the different temples and like seeing the different like samurai cultures and stuff. One thing actually really opened my eyes to how important expression is, and this actually ties back to Christianity and like my personal culture, you know, kind of the conservative kind of keep it all together. We think in America like poetry's for pansies and like and soft men, you know, like no, don't express those like inner feelings of you know the trials of things you're feeling, you know, or the sensitive side, or you know, don't express those things. And I think I think we somehow pendulumed, but getting to the point in the Japanese culture, like it was part of the samurai caste to write poems. It was fascinating.
Warrior poet, dude.
Warrior poets, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Warrior poems. And it was just like so fascinating to see like and it's so to the point, and you can get in the minds of these guys, like these guys are prepared to die and they live by the sword and they die by the sword. And that was like we in Christianity think, oh yeah, live by the sword, die by the sword, so don't own a sword. And they're like, no, I will make my soul tied to the sword, and I will live and die by the sword, and I will not disrespect the sword, you know. And so they kind of took it the opposite direction into a place of honor. Anyway, so like these guys would be like looking at a cherry blossom and like the cherry blossom blooms and then it falls.
They just died too. Nothing wrong with them.
You know, it's just like and it was like a reflection on the blossom of life.
Yep.
You know, it's like, okay, so like you have this young man and in the bloom of youth, and then he dies in battle.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wonder how much that was to deal with their PTSD. It's just like, you know, you have to like think about all these battles these guys did. And it's not like modern day where it's like you can shoot someone from a distance, but like back then,
up close.
It was up close and personal, and like, and I can't imagine like, okay, you guys line up over there.
Yeah,
we're gonna line up over here, and we're gonna have like shouting contests, and we're gonna shoot arrows at each other. And they really did the, I'm going to go out and challenge someone else out there. And I mean, obviously, right? You think about it, it just seems like natural, like man competition.
It's insane.
And, the clash of battle.
Mm-hmm. This is going to sound random, but it'll tie back in, I promise. I hate sometimes how my brain works because I wanted to say something like 4 minutes ago, and now I've had 10 other thoughts since then.
You have to start writing them down.
Yeah, I know. But one being, going back to like the foreign exchange students and everything, we always just, at our school, we always had hot ones come, and everyone would always just like drool over these kids.
Well, yeah, because they got the foreign accents.
Oh, dude, they were so like, oh my word,
exotic
dude.
material.
Yeah, and there we are, just Dorito crumbs on our shirt. And I got a chance.
We had a British kid named Stuart Duncan come to our 4th grade class, and he had like the proper British accent.
Instantly pulling.
Oh my goodness! Like every girl's like, ah, and like Stuart. All the guys like, I hate that guy.
That guy sucks. Honestly, he's not even that cool. Like I bet
it's not that cool.
My dad could be his dad up.
But I became friends with him because he wanted to shoot guns, and so yeah. Anyway.
But do you think? Okay, so then my brain transferred to like the foreign exchange. You experienced something that I would say probably most people don't have foreign exchange students. Like I feel like it was probably a bigger thing back in the day. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like not in that group anymore. Yeah, I could be for sure. But like I feel like that is a unique experience, and it gives you good perspective. And even like with you going to Japan, how do you continuously have those experiences? Like going to Japan, like that's pretty inconvenient, especially when you're like older and you have a family. But I feel like that's what gives life flavor.
Yeah.
Like, how do you continuously make those decisions to do those things that will inconvenience you? Like, how do you fight that mentally? Because there's so many times, even in life, like there's so many cool things that I want to do, like truly want to do, and I'll just be like, nah, that's inconvenient. Yeah, I'm gonna go eat a Dorito and lay on the couch. And like even with moving to a different country for however long of a period of time you were there, super inconvenient.
Right.
Like, and I feel like sometimes me and Doss were talking about this the other podcast. My love language, I think, is like intrusive thoughts. Like, I love when people just like, I love acting on mine and like when other people do it. And I sometimes feel like rational thinking is the enemy of a good experience. Obviously, you need rational thought. I'm not saying that. But it's like, well, rationally, like if I would move to Japan for 4 years when I have a 2-year-old, like that's very irrational. Like, what am I going to do for a job over there?
Right.
But you do miss out on a certain amount of life.
Sure.
So like, where's that balance? Because you can't, I'm a person where I would just do every irrational thing ever and just like, oh yeah, I'll do that, and like bounce around, cause absolute chaos and never have like anything stable. But I do think you need that, or you don't need it. You can live your life perfectly happy, a very good life without having those experiences. But I do think those experiences increase quality of life and just general overall perception and understanding of the world, which I do think is very important.
Yeah. So I think a couple things. First is you got to be intentional. And that's, I think, difficult. The difficulty of that differs for each person.
Yeah.
But the second thing is what do you want in your life?
Yeah.
Because that's not the same. Again, some people want to have that wanderlust, right? And I think that's the beauty of God's creation, where it's like some people want that wanderlust. Like I had that wanderlust bug in me, and I was able to fulfill it through my job and go to places that I would actually never go on my own dime and have experiences. Like I remember going to places where I would work my full shift, like 12 hours, and then I'd still go out and do a thing because like I wanted to experience the culture. And then we would have I got days off. And when that would happen, I would just like, I would go for hours just walking around the cities, just seeing some of the coolest experiences I had were just me looking for mystery, and just looking for discovery.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And like I remember, this is a small thing. I got some other stories from different countries, but again in Japan, like walking through the city, it was in Kawago, and hearing the school having gym class, all right, and realizing like how the school teachers were teaching their kids was completely different than in America. Like they were doing it sounded like
karate.
Karate, no. They were doing like just like athletic running, from back and forth drills or whatever. But when they would run, they'd be yelling. So it'd be like you hear this,
that's sweet.
No! And then all the little
like
kids,
a chant.
Yeah, and all the kids were like,
awesome.
Yeah! And they'd run to their side, and they were into it, you know, and they were doing it as a community, as a group, Whereas in America, it's like, all right, you guys, just let's go run some track, and then you have like these teenage kids, these kids just like, this sucks, Like,
why do I need to be here?
This is terrible. But in that community, it was like, no, we're doing this together, and we're doing it disciplined, and like, and all the students walked in straight lines. Like it was none of this like we're gonna walk in like groups of twos or threes. It's like straight line because that makes sense and that brings order.
Yep.
And it was just very respectful, very very honorable culture, and it was just fascinating to see different things. And it was funny because, so again, I'd spend hours just walking around town, and I might have like, there's a castle over there. That's kind of where I'm my general direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get lost and I have to ask for directions back, and so like you like looking around. I remember one time I was in a layover in Britain, and in England, Heathrow, and I had like a 4-hour layover, and so I was like, I got 4 hours. I'm gonna go and look around. And so I went through customs. And like, what are you doing? I'm just gonna walk around. And they're like, okay, And I got to go to like I went to a park and realized that, oh crap, like I can't walk back and make my flight in time. Like I'm starting to panic. And like, so I seen a couple on the side of the street and they're in their car. I'm like, hey, I'll give you 50 euros to drive me to the airport. Like I stayed at the park too long. And, like, this is my situation. Like, and they're like, oh, like that's cool. Like, because otherwise I had to get on the train. Because you take the train everywhere. And like, no, sorry, dog. And they're like, that's totally cool. That's totally fine. And I can't tell you how many experiences I had just like meeting complete strangers,
Yeah.
and they're completely cool, completely chill, and like, hey, this is my jam, you know, and they're like, hey, I want to help you out. Take my money. No, you know, I'm happy to help you. It's just like, wow, and you
That's awesome.
Get faith in humanity. But yeah, get like in Japan, like I remember walking through the streets, and these kids, they had these like, I can only say like bicycle handlebars, but attached to their hips like fanny packs. Okay. And it was like some kind of anime figures, whatever, but like airplane or Transformers. But that's what imagine like a Transformer bicycle handle attached to your hips like a fanny pack, and they're like flying around, like running around, and like they like ran into me, and they're like, oh, and I was like, America, because you stand out, like you look like a giant, you know, over there, and your face is obviously different, and they're just like stare at you. And then they get
transform,
and then like run away and like stare again.
Autobots roll out.
There's just so much cool stuff. If you're willing to have it, have it.
Yeah.
But it takes a certain personality. Like some people that would just terrify. You know, like my wife would not want to do any of that kind of stuff. And
okay. On that note, I am going to, because this is something I have been recently dealing with, and you literally just struck it to a T right there. With that, I am very much one like you, where it's like, let's just go do not irresponsible things, but just things that we don't know where they're going to lead.
Someone probably could perceive it as irresponsible.
Yeah. To the Scrooges, it might be a little irresponsible. I like what
to the high EQ people, high IQ people.
But and then obviously, like your wife, my wife is like, no, we're not doing that because it's dangerous, which it is. It makes a ton of sense. Something I've literally personally been struggling with, even in marriage and just where I am in life. Of okay, we're in a season of working, trying to be responsible. We have a child on the way, like. We need to do all the practical things.
Right.
We can't go do the elaborate things. And to some extent, that's like bogging me. Like, I want those experiences still. Almost going through like this little crisis, I guess you could call it. And where is that balance? But also, too, I'm going to throw one more tangent in there. I'm actually very excited for not babies, like when we have a child, but like 4 to 8 year olds, because then you can start having those experiences with them.
Right.
And that'll be sweet. But like, where do you find that balance? And I think this is maybe what I was getting at earlier. Like, you still need to be practical. You still need to make money to live, do all the things. Right. And now, with adding another member to your family, like, oh, I really need to provide because now my wife will be not working. Right. So then I'm the sole provider. There's a huge responsibility to that, one that I don't want to take lightly, but also still having that. Or do you just need to suppress that, like for a certain period of your life? Or is there that happy medium where you can kind of do both?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you have to. So like, there's just a bunch of different country songs, but like one is like, just doing the best you can. Providing for your family. There's like a lot of honor in providing for your family. And so that's got to be your first priority. But the flip side is you get one shot.
Everything comes back to Eminem.
And you want to experience life too.
Yeah.
And that's, I find to be natural. Like I would feel crushed just, that's just me speaking. I'd feel crushed just working a 9 to 5 for my entire
9 to 5
for my entire life, and not experiencing the things that life has to offer. So I do think you need to get out and like have the go skydiving or something like that. I personally sold my motorcycle because I have a family, and I was like doing my risk assessments. It's like
pros and cons.
People are doing a lot of texting nowadays. Just got rear-ended a couple of weeks ago. It's like people aren't paying attention. Yeah, it's like it's not a risk. It's the risk assessment. It's not, doesn't make sense. Doesn't check out. Skydiving is actually pretty safe.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds scary, but like, I don't know, it's like
You got 2 parachutes, dude. You're fine.
Get 2 parachutes, and you're attached to an instructor for the first couple rounds.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Skydiving's awesome.
So, I mean, I feel like you got to find the outlets that's, time and money that meets your budget.
Yeah.
I definitely think you got to get out and do some stuff, especially when you're young.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife, God bless her, I did those things through my job, and being gone for 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
That was an experience. That was actually a good and bad experience. Yeah. I think you got to pursue the things.
For sure.
Just in the ways you can, and being, it's going to sound redundant, but being intentional. But yeah, what could you do with your budget that you have and the time that you have? Yeah, I think you got to pursue the things.
Mm-hmm. And I think it gives you, like, obviously we're in a spot right now in our life where, like, we're broke. when it really boils down to it, we're broke. And so we don't have the budget. But if you...
But what are you pursuing? Like,
see, that's the thing. If you can either be broken and just have the mindset,
right?
The excuse of, well, we don't have money, we can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but if you view it through a different lens of like, hey, what can we do on this?
Yeah.
The creative outlet for that is insane. But that was a tangent. What I wanted to say is, and you can tackle both of these questions, with being married, and this is totally on me. Like, I don't have any regrets really of things I've done, even though I've done a lot of stupid things, because they've given me perspective. They've given me some sort of thing where I could glean some knowledge from it. What I do have regrets on are the things I didn't do.
Right.
And I think for personality types like ours, we continuously need to be doing something. But in marriage, how do you, because for me, those experiences is how I connect.
Right.
Like, it's like, that is awesome. Like,
I think it's
we got lost in Japan together,
flavor,
and we did this and we did this. How do you have a wife where she doesn't want those experiences, and that's totally fine,
right?
Not belittling her, but it's like, I connect with the people I do those experiences with.
Right.
So then it's like, in my mind, and I've talked to her about this, and she's a phenomenal woman and has grace with me, but like, I'm like, that's how I like, those are my peaks in life. And
when it's on
if
the line,
you don't want to do those,
right,
that's fine. But then I'm having those peaks with someone else.
Right.
And like, I really struggle with that because it's like all these fun things, these highlights in my life. It's like, I want you to be a part of them,
right?
But also too, I don't want you to like come along if you're not going to enjoy it. And then in turn, like, you're not going to enjoy it, so I'm not going to enjoy it. And then we're both grumpy at each other.
Yeah.
But also, too, then I can't always, like, marriage is a compromise. I can't always be like, well, I need this, so you need to give it to me. Like, it's that balance of, and we've had a lot of discussions here recently, like, okay, I can bring her into some of those things that I really like, but, like, if I'm doing it for 4 hours, maybe we only do it for 30 minutes. To like, get to that negotiation standpoint of, like, we're both still enjoying the moment and everything. But that is something that's like super tricky for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I want to do all these things. And also too, I realized in my life, I'm not a lone wolf. Some people are lone wolves, and I almost envy that, because it's like, I have a bunch of wild ideas that I want to do, but if I don't have people to do them with, I don't want to do them.
Right.
Which I wish I was just like, I have this, I'm just going to go do it. And I do to a certain extent, but like George, phenomenal lone wolf. And he can just like make up his mind and go pursue that thing. But like, even with the bus, that was something I was like, this will be sick. Very lone wolf activity. And then I'm in there for 60 hours. I was like, this sucks. I'm by myself. I hate this. And it's still sitting out there today. So like, I just realized this probably like 4 or 6 months ago, like, oh, I'm a pack wolf. Like, I need other people, but I also have crazy ideas that no one really wants to do because they're stupid. But I think if you join me on those, you'll have a blast.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to bring
Are you
people
inviting me to work on your van or your bus?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
You can. I have a free room upstairs. If you just want to live here,
Jeffrey, I have a wife and 2 kids.
bring them with. Like, do you understand what I'm saying in that?
Yeah. So
got any wisdom?
it's a dance.
And life's a dance. You learn as you go.
A dance.
Sometimes you lead, dude. Sometimes you follow. Why are we so stuck on song lyrics?
It speaks to the soul. Yeah. So, it's a good question for my wife. I wish she was here. So, I would say this revolves on the point of trust, in the sense of, not saying your wife's not trusting.
Yeah.
Anna, you need to trust Jeffrey more. Trust in proving yourself, because one, trust is easily broken. But so you got to show her that these adventures you're doing, won't make you insecure. And so if you can do that, then it's like, oh, well, that didn't make me feel insecure. That was a little uncomfortable here or there, or whatever, but I still had fun. And so it's kind of like broadening the horizon.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a little bit by little bit. So, like, for me, in my situations, like, my wife was eventually at the point, like, oh, I actually kind of want to come along with you on one of your trips. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a kind of change. That's awesome. Yeah. And then she really wanted to, like, eventually got to the point, it's like, I kind of want to go with you on some of your adventures.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting. I still didn't, like, because of safety reasons, like, didn't do the full go and, you know, do some risky stuff, because, you know, it's my wife and she's, like, the most valuable thing I have, right? And so obviously there's going to be the okay, well, maybe I won't.
We shouldn't do that.
Maybe I shouldn't go in that area. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't, you know. I never slept under a bridge, but I know someone has. So I just slept under the bridge with the homeless people.
Crazy. I wonder if we could interview him.
So there's that balance of, okay, what are you looking for? What kind of adventure are you looking for? Like, are you, you know, and you know, she's looking to you to lead. Like, okay, we are lost right now, but it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. You know, and bringing that security in the situation where it's like, okay, things are not going to plan. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know? I think about it as like the cereal being spilt on the table. You know, it's like most people are like,
yeah, what are you going to do?
Oh my goodness. You know, quick. And it's like, you know,
it's not going anywhere.
You know, it's might end up on the floor, but you're still going to get the towel.
Yeah.
You know, like, all right, let's not yell at the kid or whatever. Not she doesn't do that. I'm just saying, like, it's the
concept.
It's the concept of like, okay, people see the spilt milk, and it's like, we need to immediately run and grab a towel. And I think if you get the concept, the perspective is like, okay, so we're lost, okay, or we're XYZ. Didn't go to plan. It's stressful. I get it. Let's, you know, enjoy the fact that we're in this situation together. Like, enjoying, you know, the workout pain. You know, and like, we're in this situation. All right, let's figure it out. See what happens. You know, maybe we'll meet someone new. You know? Let's go ask that person over there. What's going on? You know. I remember one of the practices, one of the most stretching things from Harvest School Supernatural Ministries was they dropped us. There were some other things going on at the time. My wife and I were kind of having an argument, and they split us up, and we didn't resolve our argument, so I was not so happy about that. And they sent groups of us into Lancaster City, and just dropped us off there and told us to get back to ECC. You know, no money, no whatever. Like, hey, just pray your way back. And I was just like, this is stupid. I'm
still mad.
Every second of this. This is irresponsible. I'm like, whatever. Like, there's groups of 3 or 4. So they didn't drop us off by ourselves.
Yeah.
You know? And so it was that, you know, so we ended up just walking around Lancaster, praying for people and praying for situations and meeting people. And all of a sudden, like, we met some people, and like, you know, just the circumstances of like, oh, like, you're headed into Lancaster, or you're headed into Ephrata. Interesting. Hey, can we hitch a ride with you?
Seems like God is working.
Brought this all together, you know, and that was the whole practice of the whole point of the practice. You know, trusting in God and trusting in, you know, just trusting in the, you know, your skills or or the Holy Spirit, or that He'll bring you through. Was the point of the practice. And sometimes it's like you see the spilt milk, and it's like you're rushing around so much that you don't, you know, that you make a bad impression on your kid. It's like, oh, this is how you handle panic. This is how you handle this bad situation.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we'll just clean up. We'll just walk through this. Maybe the situation. Maybe my parallel is getting a little stretched here, but the idea is like, all right, so panic, chaos, all these things. Like, it's if you can kind of swallow that chaos and push through it, and like get on the other side of it, and like look at your situation, and maybe enjoy the fact that okay, we're outside around what's normal. This is where the adventure begins.
Yeah.
Adventure.
And chaos is life. Like, you're going to have it at some point, so you might as well just be able to understand it and react in a beneficial way, because, like, at some point it's going to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what life you live, no matter how tame of a life or how wild of a life, at some point things are not going to go according to plan, and being able to kind of roll with that, I think, is a big skill.
If you look at most of Jesus' miracles, he's on his way to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I find that really inspirational, because like, how many times does God bring situations in our lives where, like, we're doing something, God? Can't you see I'm walking to Jerusalem right now?
And it's unplanned.
Yeah, like, no, I kind of want you to go heal that blind man. But I have a task.
Yep.
And I'm going this direction. And so I think that's where, like, your desire, like, hey, I want to do something exciting. Where it kind of comes in as like, hey, I feel like the Lord's telling me, like, to take this exit right now for some reason. I've heard stories of people taking exit and, like, saving people with suicide thoughts or something like that. That thought, that, you never know.
No.
You never know. And so, like, life is an adventure. You don't necessarily have to go to Germany or the Alps or all these other places that sound, honestly, going Google Maps almost gets you there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wow. That was deep. Not all where I expected that to go.
Like, travel, like, just kind of like, because there's this whole, like, adventure wanderlust thing. It's like, yeah, okay, if you've never seen the place, all that kind of stuff, you're not going to smell the fresh air and from the Alps, and you're not going to be able to taste the whatever. But it gets you, like, 65%. Like, if you want to go travel, in Norway and walk the street, because, like, I was in Norway for a little bit, and it was really cool. And I found myself on Google Maps in the hotel, like, walking around, and then it's like I actually went and walked around, like, oh, this is kind of lame.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like, well,
I've seen this.
I'm here. I've seen it. Like, I walked around.
Easy.
Hey, dog.
All right, give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
This is the point of the show where I can say whatever I want about Jeffrey. Oh.
Okay.
He's a stud.
Yeah, literally, I took a week vacation, and I didn't go anywhere. I just went on Google Maps. Oh, nice. Sleeping in the most luxurious hotel.
You never had a staycation?
No. Well, no, we've had a couple staycations, but... No, that's cool that you say that. Something, too, I guess, is a little tricky is, like... Do you ever struggle with, it's like, man, I'm just being really selfish. Like, me wanting to do all these things. Me wanting to do all these adventures. Sometimes I just feel, like, selfish, because it's like, A, either your spouse or whoever, they don't want to do it. And it's like, well, I need this. And it's like, do I, or am I just being, like, selfish? I don't know. I don't know where... I don't know if it is
it's a balance.
Like, justified or not.
So, like, this is just recently, like, what was it, 2 years ago, I was going through a job transition. And I was kind of in transition in life. I wasn't sure if I was going to go into ministry, if I was going to go back in the marketplace. And, I was just a lot of thoughts. And so at that time we had one child, and my wife was pregnant. And I was like, hey, is it all right if I go into the wilderness, and just have some time by myself?
Yeah.
I wanted a week. And she's like, if you need this, go. Right? And that's that trust coming out.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and I think I only went for like 2 or 3 nights, and I was like, this sucks.
I'm done with this.
Like, sleeping on the ground is not what it used to be, because I'm older now, and, like,
It hurts.
It hurts, and there's no one to snuggle up to next to in the middle of the night, and it's hot outside and all this. But I don't know. No, it was good. Like, getting out in the middle of nowhere and, like, having no one around. almost known around. One guy like stopped my campsite. Are you allowed to camp here? I'm like, go away.
Yes. Stop it. Well, this is actually my land. Dang it.
Yeah. I actually went up to I think it's called like Raging River. It was in like Pennsylvania National Park, like 3 hours north of here, and it was not a raging river. It was like a trickling stream.
I feel like everything in Pennsylvania is like that.
I was so upset, but I'm like, well, I'm here already, so I might as well make the most of it. Yeah. And I talked to the lady, like I was like, well, where can I camp? And she's like, well, you can camp anywhere like 50 yards off the trail. I'm like, great, or whatever. And so the camp anyway. I'm not bitter about it.
I'm not mad.
Anyway.
I was kind of like, we went to the PA Grand Canyon. Mm-hmm. What a bust. We went during winter, and so all the trees were dead, and it's just like, these are just hills. These are just hills. This sucks. We drove like 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it was.
It's going to be great, kids.
Yeah. I was like, this is sick. What the crap? This is it?
Pennsylvania Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
No, well, it's because comparing Star Wars. You were comparing it against the Grand Canyon.
Which I never seen. I just went there on Google Maps and during my vacation.
So don't go on Google Maps because you ruined your life.
That's right. No, what was I going to say? What were you talking about? You were talking about experiences.
You're talking about how your wife and being balanced.
Oh, yeah. That's why I would love to Uber. I think Ubering would be so fun because literally it's just a plethora of people and experiences. And probably a lot of them are just like, hello, and not much. But like those ones that, man, I would just love that. But then it's like, when am I going to find the time to do that? And you let all the rationale talk you out of it. Also something too.
Nothing's stopping you.
I know, except my own thoughts.
How much you want to Uber?
Apparently not that bad because I'm not doing it. But so that's my thing. And
so this is the problem having probably a high EQ and a high IQ because you have all these thoughts and then it's just like, oh, but I don't know if I actually want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how rational is that? And you start thinking about it and it's like, oh, it's not practical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you just kind of feel trapped.
Then you feel trapped?
Which is just all literally on you. Like, it's no one else.
So you're just too smart for your own good, Jeffrey.
Yeah. That's the first anyone's ever said that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that's a wrap.
Yeah. No, but what else was I had another thought. We were talking about
trusting with your wife.
Oh, yeah, and this is arrogant. So I understand that. But I truly believe most people live here. I want to live here. Experiences. Yeah, most people live on my desk. Most people live down here with their experiences, and that's totally fine. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. I just went up here, and I think I live right here, right now. Mm-hmm. So
I think I honestly feel like you live down here.
Wow. Speak.
No, I mean just the way you're talking. It's like, oh, I want to live up here, but I live here, but everyone else lives here, and I feel like you live like everybody else.
Maybe, probably. But anyways, the point I'm trying to get with that, and you can fester on that if you got anything else to say, is a lot of my ideas are dumb. They're not logically smart. They're really cool. At least I find value in them. And I'm I want to bring other people into that because it's I truly think these ideas are up here.
Right.
And even with this podcast, no one's going to see the value of this in the beginning because it's not produced well. The lighting's bad. You're figuring all that out. But it's I am trying to bring as many people as I can into this because I see the value. And I was I would love for you to be along on the ride.
Right.
And because that's what it's about. It's not where it goes. It's that ride.
Life's a journey. Yeah. It's not about the destination.
Yeah. But literally, it's and for whatever reason, and maybe it is arrogant, but I feel the ideas I have, it's they're not the brightest maybe, but they're really immersive and cool. Mm-hmm. And yes, I want to live up here. Right. And not in wealth or this snobbery.
Wouldn't hurt though.
Yeah. I mean, just saying, sponsors. But just in experiences, and even just having those fun, even this, conversation, this is awesome. And you could have 100% been no, it doesn't work out. Practical, rational. Mm-hmm. Doesn't allow you to come over here. Yeah. Sleep. But then you do come and it's like, oh, this is like actually super cool and like very fun.
Right.
And I feel like I just want to like bring everyone on that.
This is very fun. If Jeffrey honors you with the chance to come on the show, come on, it's awesome.
Just do it.
He'll give you drinks.
Yeah.
Just a taste. Just a taste.
Just a freaking taste, baby. But I love experiences like that. So, another tangent. During work, we took Working Genius, which is it shows what you how you get joy out of your work. Like what areas of work bring you joy.
Right.
And my two biggest were wonder, which is like wondering about how things could be better, or like the idea guy, 30,000 foot view. Then my other highest score was galvanizing, which is bringing people together.
Okay.
That's podcasting.
Sound like you're visionary.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh, I wonder if this person would do this, or like what they think on this, and bringing people together. So it's like, I think that's why I like this so much. I hate the editing side of things, but that has to get done with it as well.
Maybe you can get Anna on board.
Yeah, she kind of is, which is awesome.
There you go, man. Teamwork. Makes a dream work.
No, me and her had a conversation where I was like, hey, this is something I really want to do. At some point, this could be like my thing.
Right.
Obviously, it's not right now, but it's like I think it's getting there. Yeah. And just that vision is like I'm finding that vision of what I want this to be. But it's like this is going to take up a ton of time. I think this is a sick experience. I know it's not 100% your thing, but I guarantee you it'll be worth it if you come along.
Don't diss small beginnings.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and yeah, she's like, yeah, 100%. So she's helping me out with some of the editing and writing. Like, I hate writing descriptions. I can talk so much, but as soon as you put me in front of a keyboard, it's like, what do we talk about? Things. Many things.
Yeah, you got to bring your strong points together.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's cool. And like, I'm stoked for that.
Yeah.
But like, just different experiences in life. And that's why I think like me and you get along so well. Because we both kind of have that tick.
The wanderlust.
Yeah. and the mental disorders, dyslexia, ADHD.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Stuttering.
It's not speaking well.
You speak well.
I do speak well. You're pretty bad, though. I'm just kidding. But you write so well.
Oh, yeah.
You should write my descriptions. That would take you long, though.
Yeah. I'm not fast at writing.
Yeah.
I'm
but
slower.
boy, would it be killer.
It would be great.
It'd be like that warrior poet. Oh, beautiful.
Jeffrey speaks.
Yeah. And then the cherry blossoms die, and so does he. End of episode.
No, the Japanese are like king of one-liners, and the Spartans. Maybe it's just like a man warrior thing.
Yeah.
Like the Leonidas, come and take it. Yeah,
is that what he actually said?
Lay down our arms.
I thought he said, "This is Sparta."
Oh, Hollywood said that. No, like
that was
king
Gerard Butler, Leonidas.
The emperor of Persia was like, "Hey, if we invade, we will tear down your temples and destroy your cities and burn your houses and all the terrible things." And the response was, "If."
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Like that was.
Those moments
it's
are
so
like,
hard.
Oh,
yeah. As a man, it's like, oh, that's so good.
Why can't I ever think of that? Yeah. When I do, it's just like, maybe.
Please don't.
Why did my voice go up 8 octaves when I said that? No.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
Yeah. It's like the Clint Eastwood, smoking the cigar and just being a badass.
Classic.
Yeah.
Experiences like that are awesome too. Just those kind of insignificant, but just feels like there's a couple experiences in my life where it's felt like I was just in a movie scene where it's like, whoa, like super surreal. Like I was talking with Doss on one of the podcasts and I was riding the subway up in New York City. Such an insignificant, it happens all the time. People ride the subway, but it's so like the movies. Dingy, lights are flickering. Literally, a guy in a business suit right to my left, and a drunk bum right to my right spills his beer, falls asleep. Beer slowly running down the train car.
Oh my goodness!
It was so cool, and I think that's also one of those nuggets of like traveling and like experiencing different cultures and different people, you get those cool little experiences that are kind of insignificant, but for whatever reason to me, it like stuck out so much. It's like, this is so cool. I am the main character.
On NPCs.
I don't know. Stuff like that just like hypes me up. It's so cool.
Yeah, maybe you should travel.
I know. I should.
Yeah. But I also think like part of it is like, how often have you rode subways before? You know, like we look at the Amish around here in Lancaster County. It's like, yeah, we wouldn't blink an eye.
I hate them.
We don't blink an eye at like people on carriages with horses or whatever. And to the rest of the world, like, that's an exotic.
That's true. That's
thing.
actually a super good point.
If we lived next to the Grand Canyon, it would just be like that
It's not so
annoying
grand.
hole in the ground.
It's just a canyon.
It's just a canyon that we have to drive around. Like, I want to get over there, but we have to drive 3 hours that way to cross a bridge.
If it was up to me, I'd fill this
stupid hole in the ground.
That's actually so true. Like, experiences you don't deal with on a daily basis are romanticized.
Yeah.
So, like, even, like, you see all the working out videos on, like, Instagram. It's like, oh, my word. I should go running in the 5 a.m. in the rain.
Every day. It'd be awesome.
Without shoes on.
Yeah.
And carry 97 pounds on my back. I would. And then you actually do it. It's like, this sucks so
terrible.
bad.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe, yeah, it's just if you actually. But who cares? Like, let me have, like you can still have those joys. Like, it's.
Oh, yeah, no.
Also wondering, like, yeah, I don't do this often, so let's enjoy it. Like those idiots that take pictures of the buggies. It's like, you're slowed down. I just want to pass this guy. But to them, they're enjoying it.
Yeah, the point is to enjoy the experiences. Like, don't be too hard on yourself for, like, you know, or hard on people for, like, not appreciating the things around them.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, you're on the subway and that's like, this is crazy. Like, look at this situation over here. You have this guy in a suit and a bum over here. Like, life is like that, where it's like, appreciate. I think it's awesome. Like, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, where people tend to settle and get comfortable and then not want to. There's just so much life to be had.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm not sure if I want to risk that. I'm not sure I want to go out and have that experience. Totally fine. People are just built different. But there's just so many experiences to have in life, and there's so many things to taste, and there's so many things to experience and eat and see. I know when I traveled, I would always ask, like, the waiter or waitress, like, you know, looking at the menu, and a lot of times it's different languages, and I would be like, what would you
Dude,
suggest?
I do that all the time.
And I've almost made it like an art where it's like, because now not only am I experiencing foreign food, I'm experiencing foreign food that's someone's favorite.
Yeah.
And so it's like this double experience. It's like I get to, like, okay, so this person, like, really appreciates this dish. That's fascinating. So now it's more than just food. It's like,
it's another layer.
It's another layer of experience.
That's awesome.
And I travel with some people where it's like they were afraid to look like the tourist. You know, like, oh, we can't look like the tourist. We got to blend in. It's like, why? You know, people treat you completely different when you're the visitor, when you're the guest. And if you honor that guest-host relationship, people will, like, bend over backwards to, like, so you're from America. You're from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's like, oh, well, you know what? We have Amish in. Like, well, what's that? They drive horse and buggies. You know, like, and there's all these, like, life experiences you get to have with complete strangers, and it's just awesome. It's just, I think just owning where you're at and pursuing the adventure and being able to be okay with insecurity, obviously do it in a safe way. I think as a guy, it's almost not fair because I wouldn't have done the things that I did if I was a woman.
Yeah.
There's another layer of difficulty there. But yeah, I wouldn't shame people for not wanting to do those things, because it can get kind of complicated and you can end up in a jam. I remember one time I almost got shot. and
Go on.
I was in Equatorial Guinea, and very corrupt country. They speak Spanish there, and our introduction. We were working on the president's helicopter, and on our introduction.
No way.
Yeah, and our introduction was South Africans were working there as expats, and they were like, "Hey, if you have any trouble with the police, call us, and we will call the general or the president." All right, so because they'll see your skin color, and they'll be like, "Oh, like we're gonna mess
hassle
with
you
for money."
Yeah.
Which is a complete foreign concept to me as an American. Like, I can't imagine like our cops pulling us over and be like, "This is your speeding ticket, or $100."
Yeah.
Like, I know, like we all like, "Oh, this is you're meeting your quota and all that stuff." Like, but okay, yeah, maybe not, but like they most likely they don't get the money themselves. The department might or whatever. Anyhow, so. It's a pretty corrupt country. So we're there, and I decided I wanted to go out and walk around like I usually do. But we're kind of in the country and out in the middle of nowhere, and so which I thought would be fine. And so I'm walking out along the beach and taking pictures of the ocean and stuff, whatever, really touristy stuff, and grabbing seashells. And then I look over my shoulder, and there's two guys with camos and AK-47s, like actual banana clips and AK-47s. And I was like, "Oh, crap!" Like this is. They saw me. Like I saw them like 100 yards away, and I kind of was like, "I'm safe. Like I'm fine. Like I'm like what could go wrong?" And then like I saw them kind of like make a huge circle and kind of circle back and be like,
it's going wrong.
This is not
it's
good.
Going wrong."
And so like I should have like walked back to the hotel at that point, which is probably like a mile away, and I didn't because I was innocent and stupid, and they walked up to me and they're like, "Amigo, like you know you can't take pictures here, and this is a restricted area," and in broken English, Spanish, Spanglish, and I understood what they wanted, but I pretended not to, and I don't understand, I don't. No Espanol. I don't speak Spanish. Like, "Oh, come on, you must pay." It was like a couple $100.
Yeah.
Because I was taking pictures of restricted area, and I was like, I can't understand you guys. Like, let's go. I tell you what, hey, amigos, let's go back to our hotel and we'll get this completely sorted out. And so I just started walking, and they're like, "No, come back." I'm like, "No, let's go, come on." And I was just friendly. With them, and I just walked away, and I was like, "Oh man, I will get shot in the back." It's like, crap.
Amigo, say hello to my little friend.
And I just walked away, and the people at the hotel were kind of freaking out a little bit. I was just like, "Oh yeah, I probably won't do that."
Oh yeah, it seemed like a good idea.
I didn't know. I was like, "Where were you at?" And I was actually scuba diving or snorkeling at the time. It was terrible snorkeling. Anyway, there was trash everywhere. It's gross.
That's awesome. It was good.
But yeah, so there's obviously situations where you gotta be wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So like, there's these situations where now if you have a wife and children, you wouldn't necessarily want to bring them into that situation.
And you need to play those situations differently. Like, I know we alluded to it earlier. There was a period of time for like a week where I was homeless down in Philly. Mm-hmm. Even doing that, like, super not irresponsible for the time. Mm-hmm. I was single, but like now you do need to view that type of stuff in a slightly
risk
more
assessment.
mature, like risk reward. Like, okay, say I do get jumped, I'm out of a job or whatever, then there are people relying on me now. So that does play into it for sure. So yeah, you need to weigh those pros and cons and like, okay, is the experience or what I'm going to gain from this worth what could potentially go wrong? And obviously if it outweighs it, then you don't do it. But no, I want to have you back on at some point just to hear all your experiences. We didn't get into them too much today, but there's like, I didn't know you went to Japan or any of that. So if you're willing, that would be sick.
Yeah.
I want you back on at some
again.
point,
This one-
and we can just talk experiences, because I think that would be super interesting, and I'd love to hear more. Man, that's so cool. I'm kind of hyped up. I kind of want to just travel right now.
I mean,
There is like even. Did you
Okay.
ever go? Yeah.
Hang on,
Okay,
hang on.
no,
So
you
listen,
go first. You go first.
No, you first. You first.
Okay, stop. I'll go. No, you go.
Okay. So, I heard this funny saying was Americans aren't very well traveled, right? I've heard, and if you stop and think about it, usually, like I've heard Europeans say that. Well, Americans aren't
Yeah.
very well traveled, and it's like, all right, wait a minute now, your country is 2 hours across,
Yeah.
right? And it's like that doesn't even get me out of my state.
Yeah.
So yeah, Americans are very well traveled. Like
We just have more land to cover.
I heard like in England, if you had to travel 15 minutes for something, like that's a distance. You
Yeah.
know, like 2 hours, like that's unheard of. Like I drive an hour to work.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, Americans are very well traveled, and like we have our own countries within our country. Like if you go to Maine and then you hear people talk, it's like Reuben and I don't know, like they just speak with different accents. You go to the far south, and it's like, good luck
That
in Louisiana.
twang, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck with Louisiana. It took me a while to understand. Like this one lady was trying to say ice. I'm ice. And it's like,
Beg your pardon, I will
what?
not.
It's like I don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's what
You got West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia. I can't do that accent.
Yeah. I'm not even going to try that.
Everyone knows, but
California, they got their own little
got their own things going
snobbery sounds into it.
on. Yeah, we got our own countries within our own country.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd say it's getting worse, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. That's another whole conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Trying to think. Okay, so here's another thing that I just thought of within our conversation. We're having this conversation, which I would say is a high point.
Mhm.
Like, I'm loving this. It gets you fired up. It gets you revved up. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to go do something.
Mhm.
And then you go to bed.
Yeah.
And then you wake up tomorrow and you go throughout your exact same routine.
Right.
So, what is something that...
It's like wanderlust foreplay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're gonna really travel.
Yeah. And then you just
Routine.
never get there and just leaves. Oh, man. And you're just all riled up. What's something... Okay, I'm going to challenge you with this for you to challenge me.
All right.
What's something in the next week I can do, just a small thing, to act on the conversation we had? Because I think humans... We don't hold each other accountable
You
enough.
can have your wife drop you off at Lancaster and find your way back.
Seriously?
Why not? Make your own adventures.
Done.
Yeah, like,
I'll do it.
You could, you don't have to if you
Say it louder though, because you didn't get picked up.
you could have your wife drop you off at Lancaster
Mm-hmm.
and find your adventures that way. I mean, you can make up your own adventure, make up your own adventure story. You don't have to travel, across the country to find new people.
Which that was always a goal of mine, is to hitchhike across America.
You should try like an Amish Sunday service.
Ooh,
It's an experience.
that'd be a tough one for me, I think.
I think you might be surprised.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did it.
Okay.
It's just a culture shock.
Yeah.
If you can get into like an Amish wedding,
Yeah.
it's awesome because
Aren't they super long?
I mean,
Traditionally?
like any adventure, there's drawbacks.
It's not all peaches and cream, dude. Okay.
But if you can see where the adventure's at,
Yeah.
and you can appreciate what's happening in front of you, just a taste from different,
Just a freaking taste.
just a different, just to, and you can. What I loved about, if you can see it, that's just the mentality differences from each culture.
Yeah.
And if you can appreciate it, if you can see it and appreciate it, it just brings so much more wholesomeness to what you're experiencing. What I loved about the Amish culture, especially, is the simplicity of it, in the sense of not that simplicity gets a bad rap, but they're just something so pure about the simple pursuits. I'm not trying to make things sound more glorious than what they are, but like when you see it played out, it's like, okay, like the role of a man is to provide in the Amish culture.
Yeah.
You know, the role of a woman is to nurture the family. You know, that's the expectation. And we're going to embrace these things. And now all these expectations, they become understood, unspoken and understood expectations.
Yeah.
But it's such a simple pursuit of these things. And so like at an Amish wedding, like there's so many preconceived is not the right word, but there's so many preconceived ideas that align in this simple culture. So they're already hit the ground running and understanding each other.
Yeah.
And so you don't have all these, especially like in young marriages, like you don't have a lot of these crazy conflicts. Like, well, I thought you were going to take the trash out every Tuesday. Well, I thought you were going to wash the dishes every night. You know, it's like
you take the trash out of your family.
Actually, I forgot Monday. So, yeah, you have all these things that align in the simple. You know, there's none of the. You have all these things that come into alignment in a more simple culture.
Yep.
Not saying that people are simple; they're just as complex and just as crazy as
For sure.
any other culture, any other people. But the cultural expectations are simple, and it's just these are things you can appreciate about every experience you can have with different kinds of people. So if you're looking to experience people, Lancaster has the highest per capita. Diverse group of people in the United States.
No
I think.
way.
Yeah, dead serious.
I can find a black friend.
You can find a black friend. You can find a Muslim friend.
Yeah.
You can find a
Muslim.
Lebanese friend. You can find Egyptians. The whole spectrum, man.
Yeah. Did I tell you I went to? I had an idea to give people haircuts in Lancaster. Did I tell you about that?
I don't know if I do that.
Yeah. So I
Sure, go ahead, man.
I wanted to give haircuts to the homeless.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, terrifying. Thought I was way tougher than I was until you actually get out there and you're like, who the heck am I going to ask to give a haircut? And homeless are kind of off-putting at first because they're rightfully so. They should be not spectacle. What's the skeptical of you, because anytime anyone approaches a homeless, they're like, okay, what are you?
Yeah.
Why are you approaching?
What are we doing?
So I gave one guy a haircut, trimmed his beard. He wouldn't let me cut his hair. Wild experience. It took me like a solid 15 to build up the nerve to like, because he looked a little rough, like bigger dude,
He's
and I was
homeless.
just like, no, I'm saying like not like rough as in he looked grimy,
right?
Like it was like, oh, this guy could beat me up,
Sure.
And I walked up to him and I was like,
and what'd you say? Hey, I want to give you a haircut.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, really?
No idea. I was like, hey man, giving out free haircuts, would you want one? And I like played the scenario out in my head that I would be like this good Samaritan, and it would be like this beautiful thing, and trumpets would play.
Thank you
and
so much.
He's like, no. And I was like,
don't touch me, you creep.
I was like, dang it. And then I like walked away, and I was like, rightfully so. Like, yeah. And then I sat down, and then he actually came back up to me. He's like, hey, if you want, you can trim my beard. And I was like, sweet. So I start trimming this dude's beard, and like I said, I had that preconceived notion, like this is gonna be a sweet experience, and like we're gonna talk. Gave me nothing.
No,
the whole time I was like, "Hey, so like, what's your name?"
Intimate
and he's
experience.
just like, "You don't need to know that." I was like, "No."
You might work for the FBI.
Literally after that point, so like I was expecting like he would tell me his name, and then I could roll off that.
Sure,
because usually I can roll with the punches pretty good. No, you don't need to know that.
Cold.
Instantly. Nothing in my mind. I was just like, I asked him, so where do you live?
No, you didn't. I live underneath 222.
And it just like, it crumbled. And I was just like, fumbling over my words. Like, such a funny experience. He did thank me at the end, though. He's like, hey, I really appreciate this. But boy, was it a doozy.
You should do. You you should go work for Water Street.
Yeah,
Rescue
a lot
Mission.
of people have told me that.
Go work for but hang on. Get a work for Water Street Rescue Mission. Doing the cafeteria thing, build up a rapport, like get to know some people, because
that way you actually have credibility.
As I understand, I'm not in the homeless culture, but I haven't experienced a lot of it. But as I understand, like there's a community in of itself, and so like, and just like any other community, like, hey, these are, stay away from these areas, go to these areas, this person, you don't know what kind of scams are coming into your community, you know, and so like they say, oh, that white guy over there, he's okay, he's all right,
He'll ask you where you live, which is a super weird question.
He's a little weird,
but
he's a little odd.
That was a low point in my life. I was like, what am I saying? I'm a moron. And you could tell, like, he didn't say anything, but you could tell, like, with that look, like, are you an idiot? Like,
it's bad when the homeless people are like, you're a little off.
Yeah, this dude's weird, man. It's like, so embarrassing. But
it's funny.
Whatever. You need those experiences. But
the funny thing is, right, so it was obviously humiliating, right? And it was obviously, like, embarrassing, and you felt insecure, and you felt stupid. Awesome experience.
Yeah. 100%.
Right, and so it's like going back to the spilled milk thing. It's like you make it like a spilled milk situation into a highlight of your life.
Yeah,
one of your life experiences.
Yeah,
and like this is kind of the point of the conversation. Like, there's many things in life where it's like, all right, there's spilled milk, make it a highlight.
Yeah,
that's awesome that you were able to like make a haircut experience that went totally sideways into something you could learn from.
Yeah.
I think that's really profound too, because how many times do we have this experience like, I'm never doing that again?
Yeah.
Like, or like, I'm never going to get embarrassed again. And it shuts you out from so much adventure.
Yeah.
So much pleasure in life. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And obviously there are parameters to this, but if you're willing to look like the clown, you will have way more experiences, because generally what I've come across in my life, I think, is if I do something where I'm in a group of people and I do the stupid thing or whatever, you realize very quickly a lot of other people also wanted to do that,
the same
but
question,
they
do the thing,
just didn't want to look dumb.
Yep.
And most of the time when you do the dumb thing, you realize if you're interacting with someone else, they don't think it's as dumb as you think it is. Like, it's like, ask that question, or like, interact with that person.
The Christianese is fear of man.
Yes.
But take King David, right? He was praising God so hard that is like, he was, whether he was actually naked or down to his undergarments,
people perceived him.
But the point is, in their culture, he was perceived as naked. That's like, he's not fit for physical appearance. He's the king, but he's just like, God, whatever. We got the tabernacle. Woo! He was like, he clearly had no fear of man. Like, he was just like, God is awesome, right? God is worthy of praise. And I think we lose focus of that in our more conservative culture. It's like, kind of taking us a little of a tangent here, but how often, at a sports game, we're like, woo!
Yeah, being crazy, pumped,
and that's glory, right? The hands raised, like, and it comes to a church service, it's like, don't do that.
Solemn.
Yeah, like, it's like, but it's in us to do that,
but
for God, and it's really challenging. Yeah. I think it's cool that, I think it separates people's is the desire to do that and the fear, and so you had the desire to have these experiences, and I had the desire to want to raise my hands in glory for God, and these desires inside. I definitely don't think you should should can those desires. You should find outlets for them, because otherwise, that might be God speaking to you to expand you in different areas. And it seems like God's speaking to you to like expand your areas and like in seeking people and pursuing people. Maybe like you don't know like the things you learn in those experiences, whether it's embarrassing and humiliating, all these other things will train you and teach you to build on other experiences so you can relate even deeper with people or even better with people. And don't be afraid. Yeah, don't be fearing. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Dude.
And that's like the biggest thing where it's like, I want all these experiences, obviously because they're cool experiences, but more, the other layer of that is like, the more experiences you have, the more people you can relate to.
Right.
And like I was having a conversation with my sister, and me and her are very different, where she is probably the...
Which one?
Sabrina. Like the best performing person I've ever known. Like anything she puts her mind to, she can do it to 110%, and she'll exceed beyond anyone's measure, like blow everyone's expectation out of the water, which is awesome. I don't have that.
Right.
I don't have that.
Different
but and like so her thing, which like is her power, is like she can do that.
Right.
The I guess the flip side of that, the consequence, because all decisions or all actions have a consequence, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
The consequence of that is sometimes it's hard for people to relate to her.
Sure.
For me, I fail at pretty much everything I do, and 99% of people can relate to that.
Right.
And I think that's like my superpower, if you will. It's like, yeah, I'll fail and I'll get up and try it again, but everyone can relate to that.
Sure.
And I think that's like I don't know, that's what I use to like relate to other people. It's like, oh, like I can't relate on my winnings because I have won, obviously, but I've lost probably more than I've won. But everyone can relate to those things.
Right.
And it's like, so that's kind of my thing I use. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, I have had a similar experience. Yeah, that sucks. Like,
better to try and fail than not try at all, kind of thing.
And the beauty about it is neither is better or worse than the other. Like, it's just two different ways, and both can be used, to glorify God, and both should be used to glorify God. Like, it's not like, now I'm just ranting. I don't know why. They're both equally good.
They're both good.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to God created people differently, and it's beautiful when they're like. I think when the body comes together, everyone's gonna be like, "You're weird."
Yeah,
it's all right. God made you that way, you know. And I don't understand you. That's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I think my religious experience, Christianity experience, has been that some of the most people who have made me some of the most annoyed and offended, and I'm like, you are so not righteous. You are so, have been some of like the most inspirational people if I can accept it.
Yeah.
I think that for some reason, when the different parts of the body come together, there's this friction where, like Sabrina, she's like a high performer.
Yeah.
And you guys might go ahead in a certain direction, and you're like looking at different, possibilities and perspectives or visions and stuff like that. And she's like, "Stop doing that. We're doing this right now." And you're like, "But there's all these other things that might come into play right now that could benefit the overall goal, or all these other things." So like, stop doing that. Like right now we're doing X, Y, Z, and you're off in the numbers right now, or something, whatever, off in La La Land. But every once in a while, you'll bring in like some kind of crazy thing that shortcuts a process, or a whole new customer base, or something like that from something that might not have been expected.
Yeah.
And I think that's the body coming together, and I think it's awesome and annoying how it all works together. We're all
and
different.
they need each other.
They need each other. It's frustrating. I want everyone to be like think like me and like having the process, or like by processing. And, but I'm glad my wife's not like me, It's awesome when you can appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think if you can't, it becomes super terrible.
Yeah. But if you can, it actually gets very fun.
Yeah.
Like if you can appreciate it, it's like obviously there's still those hiccups and annoyances, but if you can actually like accept that.
So maybe in your situation, what you do is you have up all these ideas and then you pitch them to Anna, and then she'll do the risk assessment for you.
Yeah.
And be like, no, Jeffrey, you're going to die.
Yeah. But that's everyone I pitched her. Like, nope. Oh, yes, I shouldn't jump off the pyramids of Giza without a parachute.
You will get arrested.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, tying back to what you said earlier, I want to put some parameters on it. Because if I don't do it within a week, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Lancaster City.
Yep.
Get dropped off there in the middle, try to get home.
Yep.
No public transportation.
No cell phone.
No cell phone.
No cell phone. Okay, I take it
Just
back.
asking, so like walking or hitching a ride.
I take it back. I just remembered the group leader did have a cell phone if things did go wrong for safety reasons, but
you can't use it unless
the original plan was no cell phone. Like the original, I think the hardcore planners, because this was we weren't the first group.
Yeah,
the original people did it without cell phones, but then like safety concerns because we were part of a bigger group. We're like, we probably should at least have one cell phone in the group. So no cell phones, or cell phones, but you can't use them, and you can't pay your way home, and don't walk the whole distance.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole point was to get out and pray, walk the streets, meditate, and just look for people of what was the word they used? I'll call them people of interest. I can't remember the actual term that was used. But sometimes like you'll come across boy, I wish some students were here with me so I can remember what some of the terminology was. But essentially, every once in a while the Lord will bring divine encounters. That's the Christianese word for it. Divine encounters, where it's like you'll come across people who are like just like comets from outer space.
Yeah.
It's like comets, asteroids. I don't think asteroids.
Same deal.
No, comets are different.
Okay.
Comets
split in the atom at this point.
Anyway, they're completely out of the norm, and like, it just seems like you're crossing paths to exchange information. Whether it's leading them to Christ or they need, and so you're looking for those, situations where it's like, oh, this seems to be just a different situation, and so I'm going to sit down and pray with this person, talk to this person, and see where it leads. There was also, we were given, I think we prayed the day before ahead of time, and we were given a list of things to look for, like red shoes, so you kind of pray and prophesy over the situation and be like, okay, it could be something really, so from my background, it was really, really silly.
Yeah, obscure,
and like, this just looks like someone's guesswork. But from the experiences I've had, the Lord just showed up. Like, I remember one time, I don't know if I can say it because I'll just keep it obscure. So we were doing this praying and prophesying and praying of the list of things we were looking for in a person, not necessarily a person, but no, we were just looking for situations, right? And we were praying and prophesying over a list, and someone's name came up. Someone's first name came up, and then I thought of a plant, and I spelled it that way. And then we realized that as we were reading down through our list, like, oh, this is actually someone we know, and it was the last name was spelled really awkward, and it was spelled the same way the plant was spelled. And we're like, oh, we probably need to go pray for him and talk to him. And long story short, we prayed for him, and then we actually couldn't get a hold of him because he was ended up being like a higher up position. And so I was actually able to talk to him a couple weeks later and be like, hey, we were praying for you a couple weeks ago because this is our impression, and this is what we were thinking, this is what we were given. And he started crying, and that was, so is that guesswork? Is that the Holy Spirit coming in? And because to me in the moment I'm like praying. I'm like, well, this is kind of what I'm getting right now.
Yeah.
It's like, this just feels like me guessing right now.
Yeah.
This is kind of silly. I feel kind of dumb about it, whatever, but we're doing this together. And then a couple weeks later, we talk to the guy, and he's like, this is exactly what's going on.
Dang.
That really impacted me pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I would definitely pray and be like, okay, Lord, I want to prophesy over this stuff. So you just start writing impressions down, that you feel like the Lord's giving you, and pray over that. Like, Lord, this is from you. Okay, you start writing it down. It could be something as simple as red shoes.
Yeah.
Could be white hubcaps or something. Like it.
Something simple that seems insignificant.
Yeah. Whatever. I just give those examples, not as examples, but just the general, I think I heard someone say a purple and yellow monkey, and it ended up being a stuffed animal on someone's porch or something. I can't remember what it was. But it could be something completely absurd. And the more absurd, the more faith building is when you see it, when you see it happen.
Are you allowed to tell the people what you're doing? Like, hey, I'm just trying to get home.
Well, how was it? I think we did.
Okay.
Yeah. You could just say, I'm trying to get to, this destination or whatever. Yeah, we definitely did actually not think about it. Hey, we're with a school and they just dropped us off and was looking for.
Yeah.
That was throughout the end, kind of conversations. Yeah, I think what happened with my situation was we walked into a business and we were talking to some of the people, and the guy's like, actually, I'm headed home that direction. I'm actually passing right by the church.
Yeah.
Can I take you home? We're like, yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we just went into the business and prayed there and started talking with some people and really get you out of your comfort zone. And that was the whole point of the practice, getting out of your comfort zone. And it seems silly, stupid, irresponsible, but yeah, to the logical mind, it is. Mm-hmm. But somehow it builds your faith. I don't know. It was just an awesome experience.
Yeah.
So, like I said earlier, a lot of times Jesus was going to a destination, and that's when he was on his way to doing something, and he either received divine knowledge of, hey, you're supposed to heal this person over here, or all these people came to him, or thinking specifically of the woman with the issue of blood. So Jesus is like the perfect example of I'm doing a thing, and then miracles are happening around him. Just being willing. I think it's just that willingness, openness to be like, okay, God, my plans, but I'm willing to submit myself to your plans.
Yeah.
So the specific trip to Lancaster, that was just that was literally a practice of, okay, God, I'm risking. It's logically irresponsible. I understand that. You probably understand that too. But I want to practice my faith.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is God honors that. Mm-hmm. He's like, all right, okay, cool, let's go. And you start on a little journey.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll do it.
But you may end up walking home too. So.
Yeah, for sure. I may just get good exercise that day, which I need. So, okay, I will do it. And then when you come back on next time, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Sure. Do I have time to do it this week? I should do it this week. I know we leave for vacation on Saturday. I got a pretty booked up week, but we'll make it work.
Where are you getting dropped off at?
What do you mean?
In Lancaster. Where you?
We'll just get dropped off in the heart of Lancaster, right around the King
roundabout
Street
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
All right. Start meandering around, talking to people. Awesome. Cool, dude. Well, hey, we're at a good spot with time and everything. You get home and get to bed. Thanks for coming on, dude. I really appreciate it. This has been stoking awesome. And very, very fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm impressed. If you guys made it all the way through, well done. I'm impressed by you guys.
So you can see analytics. on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Okay.
And the last episode with Matt, which was our longest episode, like 2 hours and 30 minutes, retention rate was like 60%. That made it through the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Crazy. Who knew people like listening to this? You didn't.
I didn't.
Freaking suck.
I made it. I skimmed it.
Yeah.
I made it through like an hour.
Just drag the cursor to the end so it shows you listen to all of it. Life hack.
Really? Can that work?
I don't know.
Boost
Maybe.
the
boost me up, dude.
boost Jeffro.
But I love it, dude. Thanks.
Right.
Appreciate it. Guys, if you like this kind of stuff, or if you know interesting people that you think would be fun to have me talk to and they would be willing to come on, let me know in the comments. And we will see you next time.